Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis. It's time for another edition of Comic Book Roundtable. And with me tonight, I have Luke from Batman Reviews, and Mike from Sergeant America. How's it going, fellas?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Great. Great. Got my comic books late, but I still had time to read most of them, so it's all good. I think tonight we'll start with some Marvel books. Let's talk Marvel first. What do you got, Mike? We're gonna make Luke be really quiet because he didn't get any.
All right. Well, I think the best one to start off with would be Weird World. This is Jason Aaron as writer, Mike Del Mundo on the art, and colors are Mike Del Mundo and Marco D'Afonso. This continues to be just a beautiful book. I will bleed blood for Del Mundo's art. I mean, the storyline is the barbarian. Oh, I gotta look at his name. There's a whole bunch of names to remember. Acheron is trapped in the undersea realm of the sea apes. So if there's certain things that almost make it Kirby-esque with that kind of an idea. But then it carries on where he finds a companion who is a crystal lord being, so it's a human that's all crystal, and the two of them break out and they need to help out his friend who is trapped in Morgan Le Fay's castle, and so the two of them are just going crazy. It's one of those things. It's very much like a Conan book. It is about a barbarian who is going to go out and fight. It's almost very linear, but it's not trapped with just sword and sorcery. There's some science. So usually those kind of things in the past have upset me because I like definite rules. I'm letting it all go. I want it to be wild, to be wacky, and that's the wonderful thing about Weird World is that anything can happen. With that, I mean, because I wonder how much Jason Aaron's writes. That I wonder if he gives him this very thin line, and Del Mundo just runs with it. It's like this is how we have to get there, and he knows that Del Mundo can carry it through. I mean, there's just huge, beautiful splash pages. If I can get that well enough of battle scenes where it's just bodies and blood and water. So, I mean, this just continues to be a great series. I'm very happy that I got it. This is only issue number 2. But it's just it is a decent story. I know some people probably are looking for stronger stories. I know there's, it's definitely not deep, but for it being in the Secret Wars, it's not overly tied to it, so you don't have to read all the other books for it. It's just, beautiful chaos in a bottle put on paper. And that's why I love it.
Yeah, I was going to get it because I went to the store and got one last month. So I figured, no problem. I can go to the store this month and pick it up at the local chain store. They didn't have a copy. Because I don't have it on my pull, so I'll have to see if I can order it from someplace else to get it. Because I really enjoyed issue 1. I was excited to read issue 2 just because of the art, like you were saying. But so. Rats, but it does have that kind of feel, though, doesn't it? Let's just let him go crazy, make whatever kind of art, throw a little bit of this in there, maybe throw a little bit of that in. I need to be able to touch on these points, otherwise, you just go to town and do whatever you want to do. And his art is pretty amazing for sure.
Because it's a simple rescue is the whole idea of this issue, but I mean, the art is what makes the story. So It's interesting when we talk about that. Writer, you mentioned it in your What the Fugue, writers versus artists, or how each one fits in. I mean, it just shows that they go certain ways because of certain writers.
Sure. Well, it depends on the book. Some books, clearly we enjoy, for the art. It's got nothing to do with really what's on the page. I mean, I'm sure I'll talk about a book, later on. Five Ghosts. I love it for the art. There's very little dialogue is ever in that book. I just love the depth. Because I love the art. It is what captures and makes the book what it is. I don't I quite honestly don't know how much the writer really does on it, and I don't care. It's not a deep story, but it's every page is just a fun, page of great comic books. So comic books can be awesome for a lot of different reasons. They don't have to hit, and rarely do they. I don't know. Is everything perfect? But yeah, definitely. That's probably one of those artists just to pick up whatever he's working on.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Pretty cool. I picked up Spider-Woman. This is issue number 9. Of just a fun issue, just an absolute romp. I mean, it's a on the road issue. It's her, Porcupine, and Ben Urich are traveling across America because Ben's got these files that he kind of feels like he needs to take care of, these little mysteries that he knows are probably something more than just a common criminal. And they're driving across the country righting wrongs, and they hit a whole bunch of places right off the bat. Each page they're in a different place fighting something. Porcupine is always screwing something up, and Jessica's having to take care of the actual heavy lifting and fix the problem. She gets really ticked off the fact that he's always messing stuff up. She tells him that he can't leave the car anymore. He's allowed to drive. He's driving and complaining about the fact that he didn't want to be a bad guy. He ends up accidentally getting them off in some old western town. I can't remember where it is right off the top of my head. And there's some dastardly evil guys. We don't know exactly why they're evil, but they do like a face recognition and they recognize who she is, that she's an Avenger. Clearly, if one Avenger's coming, it must mean more Avengers are coming. So they attack her, trying to get rid of her. And that's kind of where the story ends, with her in this giant ambush kind of a thing. But it's just a fun, kind of an action-packed, goofy, light comic book. It's just fun. I'm really enjoying it, just for it being not some big, heavy kind of a thing. I mean, it has moments where it's not all just dumb, but it's fun. It has some human moments in it, but just a good, laughable comic. Nice to have a few of those.
Doesn't look like she's showing yet.
No, that 8 months hasn't happened yet.
All right.
So there's clearly at least one more issue. I don't know if there's any more issues after that, because of course these books are being the books I'm reading are all being shut down by Secret Wars. They're not part of Secret Wars, so I don't know how many. Clearly there's one more issue at least. I don't know how many more there are after that before we take our 8-month time jump to the future, and she's with child or has a child or whatever that's going to be. Yeah.
So,
I'm going to get that though too. I like the character. I always have. It's the same creators are going to be on the book when it goes forward, and I've really liked these people since issue 5 is when Rodriguez and Lopez, the artists, took over for Greg Land, and I've enjoyed the heck out of it. So.
Well, and I think she's always been a very smart character. I read during the Agent of Swords series, I think it was Bendis who wrote that, and I really enjoyed what they did with her character there. So I've always felt that she's very intelligent and fun.
Yeah, she is. I mean, she's a little different than all the other characters. She's got a little bit different powers. I mean, still in the Spider-Man realm, but not quite Spider-Man. And yeah, I mean, she's a detective. She was a detective at one point. I mean, she's been a secret agent, a double agent, and clearly you can't be any of those roles, and be a dumb meathead. I mean, so yeah. I mean, and then they portray her in this as not being stupid. I mean, she's occasionally lackadaisical about some stuff. She's kind of, much less poised. She's closer to the, I guess she's closer to, like, Hawk Guy as opposed to Hawk Eye. It's more, she comes across more as being human as opposed to being, the super Avenger kind of a thing. So, and I like that. She has some personality, she has some quirks. I mean, she eats her cereal out of a plastic cup, so, She's got to be okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you pick up any other Marvel books, Mike?
Yeah, Old Man Logan was my other
Yeah.
one. And of course, that's
Another awesome artist.
yeah, Bendis who wrote it. It's Sorrentino as the artist and Malio as the colorist. And what Sorrentino and Malio do, of course, my camera never does it justice, but it's not just the art, but it's also the paneling sometimes. Because you can see that there's just little pictures in there, and of course, with my lighting situation and the camera having from my laptop, he just does amazing things with that. I mean, he tells a story by how he does his paneling, and I think it's something we so often forget when we see just the boxes and boxes. So that when somebody does it this way, that's always been what I loved about his style when he was doing Green Arrow. Um, it just made the story run so much faster some places and more bold. In this one, Logan is bumped into Apocalypse in Apocalypse's realm, and the Thor that looks like a mixture between like Beta Ray Bill and a Billy Goat, I think is what they said. Um, she is she's telling Apocalypse, "You will not touch him. I'll deal with it." And he's like, "Who is this? What is this? This isn't the Logan I know." She goes, "Whom will handle it? Forget about it." And he's just getting mad. And then he's like, "Well, take note that I'm not happy with it." And she's like, "Yeah, I'll pass it on to Doom." So it was very good to see that Doom is so powerful. The Thors, carry this weight to them, and then at that point they look back to where Wolverine's supposed to be, and he's run. They don't know where he's at, and so he goes after the Thor. She gets mad and just lightning blasts him into another, another one of the worlds that are on this planet, and it's Stark's Technopolis. And everybody is infected with a technovirus, so they all have to be in Iron Man suits to kind of try and stop this. So I'm sure this is what you hate. I know that you have to read all these other tie-ins if you want to know more about that information, because you were just going to get a blip and it's going to go to the next one. And that's probably, and I know that people were upset with this because it's not a story. It's Logan bouncing from spot to spot, like Sliders, like Doctor Who, like he's always somewhere else. You only get a blip of information about that place and it's gone.
Yeah.
So, it is probably intended to sell the other books. But I love it. It doesn't take much of a story when it comes to this kind of artwork.
Yeah.
It is just beautiful things where, Logan is watching the Iron Mans fly by in Technopolis. And Logan ends it by saying, "Yeah, I want to visit Doom. I want to speak with him. Something's going on, and I want to know what's going on." And he doesn't get the right to tell the Thor this. And Rhodey is one of the Thors, so it's Rhodey Thor. And he just kind of lightning blasts Logan into the next world. And little spoiler here, people. Anybody who's reading it who hasn't got to the issue yet. He gets blasted to over the shield into the Deadlands, and the Deadlands is where all of the zombies are, and it's basically where Doom deposits people when he wants to get rid of them. It's like, I don't like you, boom, I don't have to even think about you anymore because you're not going to climb over the shield wall, and you're in the Deadlands, you're going to die, you're going to be a zombie, and you're stuck there. So that's where he's landed. It'll be interesting to see what they do, and if he climbs his way out or gets out of there. Because one of the other books I'm reading about the Red Skull, they just entered the Deadlands. In fact, I think there's Marvel Zombies, and one of the people from Next Wave, a comic I really enjoyed, a Bloodstone person is now in there. So there's a lot of I think it's easy to get in and out of there. There's just a lot of ways that they allow it to continue on. So, once again, buy it for the art. The story is what it is, but it's got me suckered. I guess I'm Marvel boy for that. So.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it'll be cool. I mean, it's one of those issues I'm sorely tempted by when when they're done with the Secret Wars and the new titles start starting up, when because there's going to be an Old Man Logan with
Yep.
Lemire writing and Sarantino on the art, so it's tempting for the art. I'm curious as to how all that art, the last book you talked about in this one, how it ends up looking digitally, because you can't go by panel, right? Because I mean the panel it's not like the panels are
Yes,
cleanly.
All right, yes,
Oh,
you
really?
can, because I do it where it shifts from panel to panel. So when I read it in Green Arrow, I get the little boxes, and then it would fold out to the big picture to show you everything. So I did like it digitally because it wouldn't allow me. Sometimes your eye scans the page and you see a spoiler sometimes.
Mhm.
Digitally, it doesn't do that. It just goes from panel to panel on where they want you to see. So then, something pops out at me. I'm like, oh, that was awesome. And then
Okay.
it, but it doesn't. Yes, I will admit, it does not ever do him justice. After buying Green Arrow digitally, I bought the physical copies,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I bought the trade because I triple dip on Sarantino.
There you go. There you go.
Triple
He's a
dip.
he's a fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 You said Lemire is writing it, or is Bendis going to continue
I
writing
thought
it?
Lemire was going to write it.
All right.
It was because I think it was. I think I remember it being like, oh, it's the Green Arrow team back together,
All
all
right.
of them doing a
Bringing
book
the
together
band back
again.
together, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of a thing. Yeah.
It's already on my poll. I already know it.
Yeah, I'll have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it was Lemire that was going to be writing. Yeah. So one of the Marvel books I picked up, The Last Days of Loki, Agent of Asgard, issue 16. Still really liking this book. In this issue, our Loki, the god of storytelling, tells her friend, because at the beginning of this issue, Loki is a she still, that she's killed her. She's taken her ghost basically, and and put her in this bracelet that she's wearing, and she kind of explains why she does that, and it's to keep her from meeting her final end, because of course Secret Wars is happening, everything's dying, kind of a thing. We get the final showdown between all of the good guys of Asgard and the quote-unquote bad guys, the trolls, Hell, goddess of death, and all of them. They're getting ready to have their final clash. Evil King Loki is there. He's having a party because they've killed the All-Mother. He has the All-Mother's staff now. He is getting ready to just go to town, everybody. Odin has blown the final horn to release the people from Valhalla for the final battle. It is Ragnarok, basically. And as they're leaving Valhalla, two heroes show up. One is the first hero, and I can't remember the other one that shows up. They've been actually in exile on Midgard, on Earth. They show up at the doors of Valhalla as they're coming out to say, hey, we really don't like you guys, but we like you better than the other guys, so we're going to fight with you. And they give everybody shades, because on Midgards, this is what people do when they want to be cool. So you've got the All-Mother and the Warriors 3, and they're all putting on their sunglasses and charging off into battle. It was kind of a fun, kind of a cool thing. Loki, our Loki, shows up in the middle of the battle, and they're all excited because they want to know which side he's going to pick. He decides, and he transfers back into a he again. He's not picking any side. He's telling us a story. They go to battle, and it ends with them. They're battling, and the camera basically pulls away, and Loki has them inside of a spear where they're battling eternally, forever and ever, basically like in Valhalla. He's got them trapped inside this thing, and he's like, hey, this is going to work out great. I mean, it might be a little lonely because he's talking to Verdi, his friend. It might be a little lonely for us, but, at least we've captured it all here in this little thing, and until we figure out what other kind of story we want to tell, everything's fine. Our time isn't going to end. And about that time, he kind of looks over his shoulder, and above him are even bigger gods going, puny gods, we want to talk to you. And he's like, well, that might be awfully short-lived. And so I'm not sure if this is the last issue, and that just is where it ends with, or there's going to be another issue of him trying to talk his way out of even a bigger pickle that he's got himself into. But I still just really enjoy the book. There's a lot of metaphoric stuff that goes on in this with the the old King Loki and this younger storyteller Loki, and how Loki's been treated over the years. That I like that amongst the kind of humor and funniness that goes on in it. There's some serious questioning of nature versus nurture, and is Loki as evil as he is because he's evil, or is he that bad because of the way people treat him, and that sort of stuff still continues to play in the book, and I do enjoy that. So, but yeah, I dropped it. But
and it's an 8.5 now.
That's right. Well, come on. It's a Marvel book. As soon as you touch it, it has to go down to the lowest 9 you can, just because of the way the covers are made.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
It's my book. It has my fingerprints on it.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
Did you read, was it Tales of Mystery, that kind of started out with the child Loki when he came back?
No, I want to go and get those.
Okay, all right. Because I read that series digitally and I really enjoyed it, so that's all I was wondering.
Yeah, because those are, I think, written by Kieran Gillian, I think.
I believe so, yes.
He's the one that really got the whole kid Loki and this kind of treating Loki in this way started. I really enjoyed it when he was doing Young Avengers, and after reading Young Avengers, I knew I wanted to go back and get that stuff. I just need to figure out exactly how far back into the Journey into Mystery, right? How far back I need to go to get to the beginning of what he was doing. Between the Loki, and I think I want to read his Sith, because didn't he write her for a while too?
I didn't read that, so I don't know.
But I want to get that, so I need to go back as far as that and pick that stuff, because I really am tickled by Kid Loki and the way they handled it. Like I said, I like how Kieran Gillian used him, and Ewing just kind of picked the ball right up from that, went on with it, and it didn't feel like the character radically changed anyway. I mean, clearly he's grown up because they moved him in advance, but the nature of what he is, they keep a hold of really well. The writers did an excellent job of sticking with that. So yeah.
Well, and I was a little upset. I was hoping to hear from you that they explain Angela in her next book. I thought you were leading up to that, the way you were describing it in the new series that she has coming up. So
sure,
she's Angela of Hell or whatever it is.
Right, and I don't know how that's going to pan out. I don't know if that's going to spin out of Angela 1602.
All right.
Because see, Angela, Assassin of Asgard, ended on her basically getting, somebody thumb their nose up at her and say, the person you've been hanging out with this whole time that you thought was basically your soul sister is not, it's not who she is. She's trapped in hell somewhere, is what you get the impression of. So I'm assuming that when this news story starts up, either 1602 is going to explain how she's now of hell, or that first issue is going to have her going down into hell to get Sira, her best friend, who in the last, when she was an assassin of Asgard, we find out at the end of that arc that she had been captured all that time. So I think she goes down to, I'm assuming, in my head the story is, she goes down there to rescue Sira and just takes over. Right. Is my guess. But I'm assuming that book will tell us that to figure that out. So, I don't know. Okay. Pretty sure I'm going to get that book, though, man. Sure. You got any other Marvel books, Mike?
Nope, that was it. That was my 2.
I also picked up Magneto. This is issue 20, the last days of Magneto. And we really are coming down to that. I think next issue is the last issue. Magneto is taking all of these drugs, has all these amplifiers flying around. He actually steals some power from his daughter towards the end of it, so he has the ultimate power to smash the other Earth that's crashing into them to save the Earth that he's on. Of course, the whole time he's doing this, he's wondering if his counterpart is over on the other planet doing the same thing. Which one of them has sacrificed enough throughout their entire lives? Which one of them has, let friends die? Which ones of them have sold people out? Which one of them have crushed innocent people, all in the name of getting themselves to where they are now to make this ultimate sacrifice? And he's going to ultimately sacrifice himself. By the time all this stuff is powered up, it will kill him when he throws this ultimate power to smash this other Earth. So it feels a little rushed and a little scattered, the effects of being tied heavily into Secret Wars. But still, I'm really liking it. It still matches up to the Magneto thing in it. We briefly get a little more exposure to the woman that's kind of is his girlfriend, Briar. They kind of have it out in this issue. It seems to be that really her. Whereas when I've been reading this book, I wondered if she had some sinister motive. Really, supposedly, her only motive is that she used to be a rich kid, and of course, she gets hurt and damaged by Magneto. But when she starts studying him to take him down, she grows to admire him. She kind of becomes part of the cult of Magneto, which is out there, and she has been manipulating him, but supposedly she's only manipulating him in the sense that she's trying to keep him focused on things that will hurt the least amount of innocent people, but still further his cause. Which, of course, Magneto isn't too keen on anybody manipulating him for any reason, whether it's good or bad. He kind of calls BS on that and kind of slams the daylights out of her for a while before he goes on his now getting ready to crack this other Earth to keep him from destroying him. So, not bad. I mean, I liked it more before the tie-in, but I think Cullen Bunn is making the best of the tie-in that he can.
So these Last Days books, do they kind of tie in between the continuity before Secret Wars and bridges it to Secret Wars, or is it totally?
Yes and no. Some of them bridge going into Secret Wars, like, oh, it's happening. Some of them are really into it. I mean, because in the Magneto one, the Earths are like, as close as you can, physically have them together without them cracking into each other at this point. So clearly the whole Secret Wars thing is in the throes of the Secret Wars. They basically call it the last of days of, because some of the books they decided, or the creators on the books decided they wanted to attempt to tell a story of what would happen to these characters as their universes were destroying. As their universes were destroyed, what would they do? And some creators in some books, they just went, no, we're going to finish our arc out and we're going to be done. So this one's kind of fun because I think they're going to kill Magneto at the end of it. I think they flat out will kill him. Because it doesn't matter, because once Secret Wars is done, it's their relaunch, reboot, rehash, whatever. They can bring him back and say he's Magneto from Earth, blah, blah,
Yeah.
The 16-1-10 or whatever, kind of a thing. So I don't think I have to worry about it. So, I mean, they may not kill him, but they could, and it wouldn't matter. So why not tell a story of him, blowing himself out in one final Hail Mary to save mutant kind and maybe all of mankind.
Well, and like you said, he's also powering up again, so that also might depower him back down to the level you preferred.
Well, and I don't mind him at the big level. It was just really cool to have these street level stories, because I think Magneto in some ways is the same. It could fall into the same pitfall as like Superman, for instance. It's awfully hard to write the common man story.
Yeah.
When you're Superman, come on. I mean, it's like, what threatens you as Superman? Magneto was kind of the same way. When he was at his full power, I mean, he could pick up whole city blocks and move them wherever he wanted to. It's kind of, how do you fight that? How do you, where's the threat, kind of a thing. So, so it was cool to have him at that kind of street level kind of thing. But this may charge him back up so he is at full power. Because I know he's in charge of one of the groups. One of the X-Men groups, I think, going into the next book, I think. So
yeah, all right.
He's part of that either the X-Men or the Avengers group that's clearly more about being violent. It has like Sabretooth in it and some of those people in it, I think. So yeah, that's my Marvel books. Marvel news.
They are changing Thor again. They said they wouldn't, but instead of a female Thor, they are looking at Labrador Thor.
Oh, well.
Nice.
Now, in truth, we are going to be seeing dog covers. So here is also our Galactus.
Seriously? They are going to do dog covers?
Yeah, dog covers.
So they're doing the hip-hop covers and they're going to do dog covers.
Yeah.
I like the Galactus.
Yeah, your Chihuahua Thor or Chihuahua Iron Man.
Nice.
Even a nice pug Modoc is exactly what everybody's been waiting for.
Right on.
Yep.
Huh.
So yeah, Newsarama that's where I'm pulling mine from, and it's good. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. Looks like almost for just about everybody. So I'd
I'm
recommend
sure.
going out there looking for those.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be giving those a miss.
Yeah, as much as I love it, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. So Brandon tells me that next issue is the last issue of Spider-Woman. Issue 17 is the last issue of Loki, so that's next issue. Yeah, everything ends next issue. So, yeah. Oh, well. Then I won't have any Marvel books for a while. It'll be a couple months of me with no Marvel books, I think. So, yeah. I don't know of any other Marvel news. I don't know of anything that's...
Not really anything I know of.
Ant-Man is chugging along. I don't know if they consider it... I don't know what kind of money it made. I know it wasn't making the kind of money some of the other movies were making, but it was still making good money last I heard. So...
There was a lot of rumors floating out there, and I know that Kevin Feige mentioned that, at first people were hoping Wasp would be in the Civil War. He said there's too much already going on. As of now, she will not be. But, a lot of people would like to see or are trying to hint to that Wasp, if there's an Ant-Man 2, it may be more Wasp-focused.
Ah.
So Angelina Lilly would maybe have more movie time.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, I'm not really strong on Ant-Man. The Ant-Man that's in the movie is David Lang?
Scott Lang, yes.
Scott Lang, I mean?
Yep.
But that's not the original Ant-Man, right?
No, it's as they show in the movie, Henry Pym is the original.
So wasn't it Henry Pym and Wasp that had the actual relationship?
Yep, and they that is brought up in the movie. They show both of them, so that was nice. They definitely went back. I don't think it was spoiling anything here, but they bring in Hank Pym. I can't think what the actor's name is right offhand, but they put that Paul Walker mask over him, where he's doing the acting and he looks like a younger version of himself.
Oh,
And so that was really startling and weird to see that being used more. So I could see there's going to be a lot more of that going on.
So my next question, though, is...
Yeah.
Now, Lang didn't have a relationship with Wasp, did he?
No, and this is because it's Hank Pym's daughter, Hope Pym, and they're basically making, or will be making her the Wasp.
So it's a completely different...
Yeah.
Completely different person will be the Wasp, so they can have that relationship. Oh, okay.
And I'm not going to spoil it. There is possibility that they can bring back another, the original. I mean, there's this stuff that they can do.
I was just curious more from the comic book standpoint.
Yeah.
To make sure I was clear on who had the relationship with who, because I thought it was weird that people were pushing so hard for the Wasp to be in with Ant-Man when this isn't the same character that had a relationship, but clearly if they're changing the who people are, who actually is those characters, then I guess then you can kind of make it whatever you want to make it. Oh, interesting. Okay.
I know you're all about your continuity.
Well, no, not necessarily. I just don't want to be confused as to what's going on. And I didn't know. Maybe Wasp did have a relationship with both of them. I know that her relationship with Pym wasn't always the healthiest of relationships. So that's why I was wondering. I didn't. Maybe she just got a thing for Ant-Man. I don't know. And so whoever's wearing the costume, that's who she's excited for, or whatever.
They do really make it difficult with how much they change from comic to movie to Ultimates and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I don't have a problem with that because I just kind of wish that they would, not make the movies based on anything per se. Clearly those characters. But don't try telling some other storyline that was in a comic somewhere. Just tell your own story. Then we don't have to worry about it, right? You can have fun with superhero characters without it having to worry about, well, that didn't happen in issue 201 of the Avengers. So. Okay, well let's move on to DC books. Luke, what you read DC books this week? Today, as the case may be.
Tell you what. Let's go Grayson. I know you got Grayson, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna start by saying I'm officially calling Dick Grayson the most flexible man on earth.
For sure, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. That is the goalies in hockey can't even do that. But no, but yeah, true. This was good. This was good. Now, I didn't read. I also only read issues 5 and 6. So I actually got lucky. I even got more than what I showed before.
Oh, excellent.
I'm only missing one in the angle, so I'm kind of in the dark of what happened. I guess issue number 9 and the rift between Helena and Dick and all. But Lex Luthor was just I chuckled.
Yeah. Yeah, he burns Lex in this thing. It's hilarious. Lex shows up all smarmy like Lex normally is, because of course Lex knows it all, right? So he's one step ahead, which he is kind of one step ahead of Grayson through most of their conversation. But Grayson insults him pretty good.
Mr. Clean, and what else did he call him?
Well, he's like something about the fact it's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm used to dealing with high level I'm used to dealing with high level threatening criminals, not like you, Lex. I'm used to dealing with people like Kite Man.
Yeah.
Basically telling Lex that he's on a scale of threatening people, he's less than Kite Man, which was, I thought was pretty funny. I love this book. It's such a gorgeous book. Janen's art and Cox's colors on it just make it a absolutely beautiful book. I guess you could argue that it's got too many pretty people in it, but I don't care. It's one of those kind of, it's like the TV show. You don't care if everybody's beautiful in it because it just is. Him jumping off this balcony, supposedly down into the water, was just awesome. I love the spy aspect of it. This I don't know. It's like a super spy book. That's really what it is, right? Yeah. It's not a superhero book. It's a super spy book. And I really, really like it. I don't want to see Grayson go back to being Nightwing. I don't really want to see him become part of, Batman and Robin Eternal, because I'm afraid that's going to screw this book up, because this book has just been a joy to read. It's just been lots of fun. It's cool. It's savvy. If you're into Dick Grayson's butt, there's lots of fan service for you here. I mean, they take that joke and they run with it like crazy. I mean, there isn't a single issue almost where somebody doesn't make some sort of a comment about his butt. Whether it's Midnighter.
I read that one last night. Yeah, I know that ass anywhere.
Yeah, and even the lady that he steals the kryptonite necklace from, she comments on the fact that maybe she wouldn't have been so distracted by his fine derriere.
Yeah.
It's just like I said, it's just a fun, slick book with just enough intrigue and the kind of double agent who's stabbing who stuff going on to make it intriguing along with being fun, I think.
Yeah, I like that aspect with Agent 1. What's going on too? That's who is that guy? Is he?
I don't know if we're supposed to know him as somebody. Him being the Tiger of Arabia or whatever he calls himself. I don't know. This is the first place I've seen him at, and I haven't really done any research to pick at it too hard to see if it's something else. So you jumping on Grayson then?
Oh yeah. I put it on my list today. Yeah, it's good, very good.
Yeah, really enjoy.
I got a feeling if Dan Didio has his way, he'll stick Grayson, and he won't go back to the Nightwing.
Well, I guess Well, there for the longest time, he certainly didn't like that character. I know he went out of his way to try and get him killed off a long time ago. So, I don't know.
Well, now, when he originally started with Spiral, was the idea that he was supposed to just watch them, monitor them, or take them out?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Batman saying he needed someone to do an inside job on.
They wanted him inside because they knew that somebody in Spiral was working very hard to find out who all the superheroes were. and expose them all because they were dangerous people being hidden in the shadows. Even though, of course, that's what Spyro was. Milo was doing that. And have you read, Luke, what happens
to Dick?
Not to Dick, to the head of Spyro.
Oh no, that's where I left off.
Okay. I won't go into exactly that, but that initial why Dick's there gets rectified.
Yeah. Right.
Now he's blowing the wind. He keeps calling up Batman.
Yeah.
Secretly, he calls him up because he calls him like Birdwatcher or something. And of course, Batman never answers him. He calls him again in this issue. He's like, I don't know why you're not answering me, but what the hell am I supposed to be doing? Now he's just he's treading water. He's doing what he thinks he should do, and just kind of going with the flow because he doesn't know what he should do. I mean, I think he kind of thought, okay, once I was done with this initial thing, taking down the people who are trying to expose all the superheroes, that he was going to be able to come out of the dark. Because right now, technically, people think he's dead still.
Yeah.
Except for this agency, they know he's not dead clearly, but the costume world thinks that Dick Grayson's dead. And I think he thought he was going to come out of the dark after this, that he was going to go back to, I don't know, being Nightwing or being something. He was not going to be the hidden guy that he is now. But here he is. He's kind of stuck because he's waiting for some message to tell him to do something different. And of course, Batman's a robot currently, so
yeah,
that's not really working out. So, and I don't know if he can go back to being Nightwing because, of course, Nightwing was exposed, right, on national television. So, I don't know. But yeah, it's another aspect of the story, and I like it. Like I said,
I think that's what was successful about, the Dark Reign, Forever Evil, is that it went and exposed his character, and it had repercussions that the writer is actually using, and I think has done well with.
Right.
We so really that sometimes with these big events, and his exposure to being on his mask or somebody dying and come back and actually really good thing for his character.
Yeah, events without consequences. Yeah. Those irritate me to no end. I mean, what's the point if something doesn't change or whatever? Yeah, for sure. Mike, you said you didn't have any DC books this week.
Yeah. Well, I did get Robin Rice. Got that one.
Oh, nice.
I don't think we want to talk about it, but Alpha.
Alpha? Okay. I'll tell you what, if you read Alpha was nothing more than just a rehash of, what was that, 38?
Yeah, but he doesn't read Batman, so that it works for him.
Yeah.
It's great eye candy, though. Kubert's art in there is just huge.
All right.
So what else did you read, Luke?
Gotham by Midnight?
Right. Yep.
Oh, another good one. Talk about artists. It's just great art, too.
Yeah, Ferreira's a great replacement for Temple Smith. Anybody who might have had some worries that it wasn't going to stay, dark and creepy and that sort of thing, no worries. Ferreira's doing an awesome job. Bill Sekowitz covers make for intriguing, creepy-looking covers. So, yeah, what you think?
I loved it. I mean, this whole angle that, first off, I love that little hint, that little plant that we saw back in the first arc is guest resurfacing.
Right.
And kind of going back on the art, you see this thing a couple of times. He did this in Eternal, too, where you get like a building structure. Like this is the building, and each have like little panels within the building itself, which is just really cool. And you kind of get that Mortal Kombat X type. You get a punch in the spleen. They give you like the X-ray vision.
Right.
You get that little panels right there, and they show like the monster coming up from the ceiling. But whoever has got it out for them, it's really, it gives you like a nice little drama. Now we're kind of adding more than get more detective parts of the story and the whole, horror-esque type of story. Now we're kind of getting into like drama. Who's really got it in for, Precinct 13, which is really cool. And for some reason, I just read Colder Volume 1, and I'm sorry, the guy that they talked to in the interrogation, he looks exactly like Jack Nimble or Nimblejack, whoever the character is. I was like...
Yeah, Nimblejack.
Yeah, Nimblejack. Yeah, whoever's got it out for him, this is cool. And the Spectre, oh man, did you like Spectre?
Oh yeah, always.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great that we get to see him come out because I was kind of worried with the way they kind of build the Spectre as being this nuclear bomb that we're never going to get to see it because if we do, of course, all of Gotham dies. Well, clearly they can kind of get reined in to some degree. You know, it's not quite as heavily built as what we thought. So that was cool getting to see it come out and wreck some stuff because I really thought we were ever really going to get to see it. You know, because of the whole going nuclear kind of a thing. But.
And I like that he was in there with Sister Justine's apartment, and he's the thing with Corgan. That was pretty nice too. You know?
Yeah. I like that aspect. I like the whole internal affairs coming to get him kind of thing. Clearly internal affairs is doing their job, and something is assisting them because, like you said, something seems to be out for Precinct 13. Besides the monster itself, but there's something else that seems to be out for them. I'm still happy that they introduced Kate Spencer. It does answer in here. She is a district attorney. She is I'm not district attorney, but a prosecuting attorney in this too. So she's involved, but can't be too involved if somebody's going to press criminal charges against them. But yeah, I like all the aspects of it. I like the part where they're doing the investigation, and the doctor, she's talking, and all of a sudden he's laying on the ground. And she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm just tired. Like, no, get up. Because they find all these people that are dead, and they're like they've just kind of copacetically laid down on the floor. Like they could be in the middle of eating toast, and just all of a sudden they lay down on the floor, and there's something growing up out of the floor and into their bodies, kind of a thing. So they're all like, "Ooh, we gotta go to the basement and check out the basement." Well, we're waiting for backup. I don't know if we should. And she's talking. One of the detectives is talking. She turns around. The doctor is laying down on the floor, and it shows the thing starting to work its way into him. And so, yeah, it is pretty cool. It's fun, but a different side of Gotham.
Oh yeah, this is one where that was the kind of the hesitation I thought going into it was that maybe it's because Gotham they're going to try to force feed Batman to kind of make it interesting.
Right.
Other than maybe 5 panels total in this series, you not even mentioned it. It's
right. Well, yeah,
it's on its own,
Right. I mean, they put him in that first issue, which I think was important to explain how are these guys doing what they're doing and not bumping elbows with Batman. And they show those first couple panels of Batman basically bringing cases and going, okay, which one of these are you and which one of these are me? Corrigan using his basically his magic psychic ability. Oh, this one's mine. Taking the ones that are the clearly supernatural because Batman really doesn't want anything to do with supernatural crap. I like that. And I just simply this is how come they don't bump elbows. Makes perfect sense now. Why they're not running into each other because they know what each other are doing. And yeah. What else, Luke? I know. Me and you've read some other books.
Did you get We Are Robin?
Yes, I did.
I don't know. I'll let you go first. Go ahead. Because I really want to love this title, and I don't hate it. It's just something that's just, I don't know, for some reason, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it.
So for me, this issue was not really any different than the last issue. A little less annoying me with the whole I smell good thing, which that whole part of issue 1 irritated me. I don't know, it's a cool idea, maybe. And I know this is going to sound dumb, but I find the idea of a group of random kids pulled together by somebody sending them text messages to go out and fight crime and stop actual, honest-to-God bombs that are going to blow up entire buildings seems unrealistic to me. Yes, I know I just said unrealistic and I'm talking about a superhero comic book. I get it. But at the same time,
they're kids.
I don't know. I don't know.
Here's my concern.
I just have a hard time buying it.
Yeah, I hope the guy behind this all is not Bruce. I hope not. I'm talking about.
So, do you think somebody's manipulating the skinny guy with the mustache? Because there's no way that can be Bruce. That guy's too skinny to be Bruce. I mean, Bruce can disguise himself like Matches Malone's, but he can't hide, 150 pounds worth of mass.
Like the guy who's like going, the guy with all the bat cameras zooming in on him. He got that one panel and got just a shadow look him with maybe just a little bit of scruff of him looking. I don't know. I'm just hoping that they don't make this into like a Bruce Alfred thing.
I just can't imagine doing that. I can't imagine. Robin is the exception, right? Isn't Robin the exception? Bruce isn't going to randomly pick up a bunch of street kids of college to high school age and go guys, go defuse a bomb that technically you have zero education in dealing with, but go over there and figure it out.
Because
right?
the whole thing with him, the whole tie with Duke and Batman, it keeps getting referenced. It was issue 1 and issue 2 that he knows Batman, he worked with Batman.
Well,
I was like, I got my eye on you for a long time, and I'm just hoping that's not what they do.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's more along the lines of let's prop up a kid who's in a really bad situation, and he needs to kind of toe his own line to some degree. He needs to keep it together while we're in this situation. So Batman says whatever he needs to kind of motivate him in that way. Now, that's actually one of the aspects I like about the story is the fact that the rest of kids, to some degree, are kind of on a high on Duke because Duke is somebody who supposedly has actually been in honest-to-God contact with the Batman as opposed to just having a cute Batman story. But there's not enough here to keep you interested. Like I said, I know a lot of people really liked issue 1. I didn't really particularly care for issue 1. I didn't think there was anything that really grabbed me and made me go, oh yeah, I like this. This is really fun. Nothing in this issue, for me, is the same way. I'm just not excited by it. And I wanted to be, but it's just not hitting the right chords for me to be excited about it.
I mean...
And there's enough other stuff coming out that...
So I'm wondering how long this can go. Because I'm with you. I really want this to be good. And I don't think it's horrible.
Well, I don't say it's bad. It's not... To me, it's not captivating, personally, to me.
Right. How long can this go? Because, sooner or later, Batman's coming. Then this whole thing with Damian getting ready to come up. Just kind of wonder how long could this concept actually go. I don't see this being long-term.
Well, no. If they tie it into Batman and Robin Eternal...
Yeah.
They could feed off of that for a while. It could go on for quite some time because Damian's out of the picture as far as being like in Gotham and doing that sort of stuff. Clearly he's off on a much bigger, running across the world romp. So it's not like Damian's going to show up and put all these other Robins in their place. Which I can see Damian doing that, showing up one day and going, you guys are a joke. And busting all their kneecaps and
that's what's going to happen.
Them.
That's what's happening in October. That story arc is coming up.
You think so?
No, literally, that's what's
really.
Robin.
They showed a preview, yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I haven't looked at solicitations. I've turned over a new leaf, and I'm not looking at solicitations for books that I either know I think that I'm currently getting, so I don't know what's coming.
Yeah,
so, so
everybody ecstatic with that San Diego.
Well, that'll be. I don't know. That makes me question the longevity of the book too, because I would think that Damian shows up, he demoralizes you so bad that,
he's got beat up by a tank.
Well, I don't think he'd waste his time beating him up though. I think he's more along the lines of going to be, you're a hazard and you need to stop now, kind of a thing. You're clueless as to what this really means to be. And do this would be my guess, unless he's given instructions from somebody else to be different than that. He'll be dismissive. He'll be dismissive at best.
At best.
And slap them around a lot at worst, right?
Yeah. Of course. That's how he rolls.
Yeah. Well, that's how he's been with any other young person who thinks they want to be a hero.
Oh yeah, remember what he did with Shazam?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and he attempts to be that way with the Teen Titans. He also attempts to be that way with Batgirl. There's even a story in the Batman Streets of Gotham, where he runs into a kid who is
yeah, I know. Yeah,
he's got an alternate identity. He's called Abuse. He turns into this big hulking guy with these brass knuckles.
Yeah.
He's a throw-off experiment of somebody using some Bane juice and whatnot. And Damien's just totally dismissive to him too. It's like, you just hide there and I'll save you. You know, he's being all, you know, ninja assassin dude, and then of course he roids up and beats the hell out of people, and he's like, Damien's kind of like, oh, okay, you know, that works, I guess. So, but yeah, Damien's not too polite to his peers because age-wise, his peers aren't his peers. So yeah, I don't know. The next time I do a comic book order, I doubt this will be on my poll. But I have one or two more issues coming, and I'll know for sure by then. But yeah, wasn't that excited by it. Any other DC books?
Did you get anything else?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you get?
Picked up Cyborg, issue number 1.
Is that good?
I like it. I mean, it wasn't a bad book. It falls to some degree along the same lines as We Are Robin. You know, first and foremost, Cyborg is. I'm just not that interested in him as a Teen Titan. When he was a Teen Titan, he's probably the one I was least interested in. I mean, I'm more interested in Beast Boy because I like to hate Beast Boy than I am in Cyborg, as far as that goes. So that's kind of playing against the book for me. But I wanted to pick it up and check it out to see what they were going to do. New story with the character and see what they would do as an individual book and whatnot. I heard some people talking about it, so I went to the chain store and picked it up. The art, of course, in it's beautiful. Rhea's art, Ivan Rhea's art. So, of course, the art is spot on. I like the personal aspects of it. You know, Vic shows up. He's got a new look. He looks more human than he ever has before. He's got normal human looking hands again that will turn into cybernetic type stuff that he seems to be in control of but didn't know he could do. And we kind of get this backstory of he shows up to say, hey, Dad, look, I've changed again. I died a third time. He's died 3 times now. And I'm different. And they're like, ooh, checking him out with all of his, fancy stuff and whatnot. So the aspects that have to do with him personally, the fact that his dad kind of ignores him, that he's just kind of an experiment, and he so quickly forgets that Vic is even there, and it's more about the cybernetics and this new energy source that's in him and what's going on. It's how he's always been treated. That personal aspect of the story is written really well. That's really, really good stuff in there as far as giving us a story about what does it feel like to basically be invisible in your own family's life, kind of a thing. And so that, and Vic is, in this, he's kind of like taking a step back from the rest of the superhero stuff, just trying to maybe find his center again. He just feels like he's been ran ragged for a while and needs to kind of take a break and recharge, and he's not sure what to do with himself. So that aspects are really good. The superhero aspects of it, there's some alien stuff going on at the beginning that doesn't really tie into the story. I'm assuming it's going to at some point. That's kind of spattered throughout the story, and I'm not interested in that, I guess. So I think it was a decent book. I'm just not a Vic Stone fan. I'm not a Cyborg fan as a whole. I'll probably pick up a couple more issues to see what they're kind of going to do with the storyline. But I don't think I will put it on my poll and read it for a long term, just because, like I said, it's not. I like the Teen Titans, the old Teen Titans, as a group. Most of the characters on an individual basis, I'm not so interested in. I'm interested in them together and their relationships with each other. So I don't know, but it was okay. It wasn't bad.
I was just wondering now, how long term could it go? Because he's not, as far as I know, he's not. The most popular.
Well, I think he's relatively popular, and I think that him being an African American superhero in this age of them trying to diversify and have a bigger representation. I think he's important as far as that goes. Written by an African American writer, so I think that's important also from the diversity of a creator standpoint. So I think it could last quite a while. I think there are a lot of fans of Cyborg. A lot of those fans currently are fans who listen to him say, "Booyah!" on cartoons right now, but that translates over. I mean, I saw a lot of stuff on Twitter where people are going, "Yeah, my 10-year-old kid loves Teen Titans Go and loves Cyborg because Cyborg represents them because they're African American." And so we went to the comic book store. There was Cyborg. We bought it. The kids loved it because there's nothing in here that I don't know. This is rated T for teen. A teenager, 10 years old, 11, 12, right up, their alley. So I think that, and he's been in the Justice League this entire time, right?
Since New 52, right?
Right. So it's not like he's not around. It's not like people don't know who he is. So I think he's popular enough. I think the cartoon makes him popular enough to keep him around. He has way more leverage than, let's say, when Mr. Terrific came out, when the New 52 started, and they made the Mr. Terrific comic book. Nobody has a frame of reference for Mr. Terrific. There's lots of frame of reference for Cyborg. So I think Cyborg is a safe comic as far as that goes. But yeah, it's a great looking book.
I think I need to go back and say not popular. I'm not saying he's garbage. I'm just saying
right.
Amongst the Trinity and whatnot.
Right. Well, and I just think he looks cool. His new costume's cool. He's popping out all his cybernetics and stuff. I think he's more popular than Aquaman is. Just to pick
Travis,
on Aquaman.
Would you
I
say
was getting ready to say something, but I stopped myself. That had something to do with C.
Do you think maybe an issue with Cyborg is, you said it's safe, is it too safe? Is there not enough meat to it?
No, I mean, I don't think it's too safe. I don't know what I want to say. I mean,
Because you said, all right, I was just wondering when you said like really young kids can read it. I think what I was thinking was, I mean, some of the best stories are ones that deal with race or a tragedy or something that sometimes borders on should we have told that story or not. That's, I guess, what I was thinking.
Okay. So yeah, it's not edgy. It's not edgy in that way. I don't think it needs to be.
Right.
I think it's telling a great story of father-son relationship as far as that goes. And that aspect in here is really good. I think. And is relatable. I come from a family where I was the second child. I was an oops baby. And I was kind of the invisible person in my household. My brother was the perfect child, 6 years older than me. And so I was kind of invisible. So I can relate to Vic as far as that goes, because he really is that. I mean, his parents argue about him, but they don't have a conversation with him. Now that he's Cyborg, he shows up, and it's like they initially say, "Oh my gosh, you died again?" And then they immediately start looking at stats and how is his computer stuff working, and they forget he's there. They're literally having a conversation through him, and he does not exist. Then later on, he's kind of laughs it off to start out with, and they're sitting down, and one of the nurses is going to take a blood sample from him, and they're trying to stab him in the arm, and the needle is going, is bending sideways because they can't penetrate any. He doesn't have a lot of fleshy parts, but even the fleshy parts he has, they can't stick a needle in. And he's like, "Wow, that's weird." And he's like, "Yeah, that is. Hey, Dad, you think that's weird?" And they're like, "Da la la," talking techno garbage, and he loses it. He's like, "God damn it, I am here. Why not have a conversation with me?" And that's when all the cybernetics pop out of him, and they're like, "Oh, Vic, are you all right?" And he's like, "Yeah, wow, I didn't know I could do that." And as soon as he sucks the things back in, they start talking techno stuff again. They forget he's there, and so there's this. So that aspect of the story is written really well, and that is a part of a story we don't get in a lot of superhero stories. So that's a cool part. I'm just saying, for me personally, I'm not a big Cyborg fan. and the alien stuff that's going on, some other dimension or some other planet that's clearly going to tie into him at some point. Whatever, because I guess I don't care why he has a new cyborg suit, why he looks different. It doesn't matter to me personally. Might to somebody else, it's not a story that I care about.
So with the aliens, is that maybe the new villain? Have they introduced a villain for him?
Well, there's clearly these bad guys in it. There's these
right.
they look like mummy cyborgs almost. Like they might have some human parts in them, but those parts are long since dead. And there's this pretty wicked looking skeletal and black guy. This guy, yeah, right here, who's clearly mostly, I don't know, cybernetics or something. So that's the bad guys. But right now they're on some alien planet fighting some guys that are in spacesuits. So somehow this is going to tie into, Vic, but I don't know how, and I don't know that I'm interested, because to me it feels like this is going to tie into why does Cyborg look the way he does now instead of having all this big clunky metal stuff on him.
Right.
And that doesn't matter to me.
Right.
So he looks different. I don't, to me that doesn't matter. Tell me a different story and I'd be more interested, I guess.
The other thing
I know lots of people liked it though.
Yeah. The other thing, now that you mentioned that part of it, has anyone ever touched on Soul's stuff with the Animal Man and Swamp? The red, the
no.
the metal. That's what I was wondering.
Machine. Yeah. Is he an aspect of the machine? No.
All right.
I'm almost suspicious that we will see that disappear.
Okay.
We're gonna get a new Swamp Thing miniseries coming up, right?
Yep.
And I think that's gonna get either disappear completely or be toned down a lot. I mean, they're still using it. They're still using it because in the Justice League Unlimited, they talk about Swamp Thing being part of the Green, and Poison Ivy refers to it as being basically the god of the Green. So it's there, but I don't know, because what little bit I heard about the Swamp Thing miniseries that's coming up, Lin Wein, the original writer, or the original creators of Swamp Thing, is going to go back to writing it, and he's going to take off from where his last story arc ended.
All right.
Which, to the best of my knowledge, had nothing to do with that whatsoever. So.
Yeah. All right.
Any other books, Luke?
Well, since we kind of went to a deep meaning book, let's go slapstick. Let's go Batman 66.
Okay.
You get it?
No.
This one, again, it's typical Batman 66, one and done story. They actually get two of them in here. As you see in the cover, it's correct, but I don't think in the 66 series we've seen Harley Quinn as Harley Quinn. I think we've seen Dr. Quinzel a few issues back, but anyway, so I'm assuming this is the origin of Harley Quinn. It's just kind of how it's written. I'm pretty sure it is. It's pretty cool. They're both short stories. How Harley's portrayed in it's awesome. You get a lot of chuckles. It's Harley Quinn as you think of today, but toned down way back, not nearly as sexualized and whatnot. But it's still, you see, kind of like almost like the Paul Dini animated series a little bit, but maybe toned down a little bit more.
So yeah. she's more mellow than Catwoman?
No, she's.
I mean, because Catwoman's pretty sexy in the 66 universe, isn't she? Which Catwoman are we on? Are we on Eartha Kitt?
No, we're talking. Yeah, not the. God, I keep forgetting her dang name.
Julie Newmar.
Not Julie Newmar, the other one.
Right.
Yeah, so she's actually, because she's actually in the second story.
Oh, okay.
With everybody, but she's not, like I said, she's kind of like in the roller derby type uniform, but it's basically her breaking out of Arkham, not Arkham Asylum, Arkham Institute.
Hospital.
And then she getting this gang together, and then Batman and Robin end up getting part of the game taker. It's relatively short, but it's really Harley being Harley. You get a chuckle. The second story, which I thought was actually the better of it, was Catwoman, Riddler, Joker, and Penguin go into this publicist company, or public relations, whatever. Basically, they're saying their image is bad. They're seen as soft. They want to be seen as big and mighty. And it just happens to be one of the interns in this organization is Barbara Gordon. So it's basically doing an inside job. You see her as Batgirl, but it's kind of her kind of thinking about how to attack them, but she can't do it because you don't have her batsuit. So
sure.
It's how she kind of I'll spoil it. She basically gets them to fight amongst each other because they can't put aside their ego that Penguin wants to be the leader of this what's she call it Penguin Patrol. And they're going to come with this ad campaign. They make them the Penguin Patrol, and Joker can't let Penguin be in charge, and he's got to call it the Joker Patrol, and Riddler does this and whatever. So they all end up fighting each other, and that's how they end up in demise. But it's typical 60. I mean, is this going to be an epic book? No, but you're going to enjoy the hell out of reading. You're going to get a good couple of chuckles and whatnot. It's fun stuff. Yeah. Art wasn't as good, but the story was on. Parker. I think Ray Fox did the last one. But, yeah, Parker, good job. And since we're talking Harley Quinn, totally 180, Harley Quinn Power Girl.
Yep.
I laughed, but it's so raunchy. The innuendos in here are just so bad. I'm talking orifices getting sewn up, stuff getting come out of holes, and you're like, what the? And then this robot that comes down, it's kind of like a got these robots that are basically attacking Power Girl and Harley. And I will say what's better about this issue than the last one is like Power Girl is kind of like the central part of the story. Harley was kind of like on the periphery. This one, Harley is more involved in the story. And as Power Girl's fighting all these robots that are attacking this planet, I can't remember the name of it. She's with those people that are basically the people of Power Girl that she doesn't realize or recognize yet. And they're going to go. And of course, they're loving people. Harley's like, why don't you fight back? And they're like, we haven't fought in like 3,000 years. We're love, baby, peace, love, and rock and roll, and all that type of stuff. So they go into this museum, and this robot, it's so cheesy, but it's hilarious. But again, it's so innuendo ridden. It's just you shake your head and just wonder sometimes how they get away with this only being rated teen. You're like, no way. There's other books that are Teen Plus, and you're kind of wondering, it doesn't really need to be Teen Plus. This one is definitely Teen Plus, but it's just this robot's like, I'm here to get you. I'm authorized to do this. And other robots are being a little forceful, and this one's kind of has a little frowny face, a little light in it, and Harley what she does is hilarious. This one a little better than the first issue, but again, if you're a Harley fan, this is definitely right up your alley. If she's a little too much, you're probably not going to enjoy it all that much. Oh my god. Then they get this group of girls are basically this guy. He's kind of like a Big Daddy Mac. He has all these other girlfriends, and now all of his old girlfriends are coming together, and what they call themselves the EGFs, or what they call them. Basically, it's the gang of his ex-girlfriends. And they basically call themselves the ex-girlfriend force or something like that. So it's just weird, and you just shake your head. How they let them get away with some of their stuff sometimes. But it's again, if you like Harley, that's you. If it's something that's turning you off, you're gonna be. So.
Yeah, I'm glad everybody else is enjoying it, but I like my Harley Quinn a little more complicated than what.
Yeah.
Than what Paul Milani and Connor Ryder. I mean, so.
I could take it in doses. That's what I mean. I like the main series. I pick up here and there. This is a 6-issue mini, so it's sure, why not? Harley. I like the Paul Dini. I like the animated series.
Yeah.
I like that a lot better. Not that saying this is wrong. That's just when I think Harley Quinn. That's what I think.
Right. Same here. Same here.
Yeah.
The other DC book I got was Justice League 3001, issue number 2. We get super girls showing up in the old costume, the old haircut, the old everything, and she's from our century. She was on a mission and she sent her rocket ship to find Superman, to find Clark, while she was out in space, and so it did. But in the process of doing that, it warped through time and found this version of Superman. So she has no idea what's going on. She crashes onto this planet while these Starros are out there fighting. She very quickly takes care of Starro. She finds the main Starro because, of course, she can fly super fast. She has the telescopic vision. She has heat vision. She has all this stuff. So it was no problem for her to figure out where the main Starro is at and stop this tragedy from happening. But it's just fun to see her in the mix of all these other things. This is our kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of a book. It has an actual storyline going on in it of the Injustice League is trying to kill off this version of the Justice League. They're doing that by subterfuge, by sending them on these missions, and then while they're on the missions, trying to set them up to get them killed. There's lots of gags and joke in this. Is basically as Geffen and DeMatteis just kind of tell jokes throughout the whole thing. The Flash in here, who is female and is kind of girlfriends with the Superman in here, has now started calling him Clarky, which he thinks is cute when she says it, but of course he hates it when everybody else says it, and of course that means everybody else now calls him Clarky. So there's lots of funny things in this. It's the only thing in this that's probably dumb is, of course, Guy Gardner is in a hot female's body, right?
Yeah.
And which is funny in the fact that, of course, she has all of Guy Gardner's personality, except he's stuck in a woman's body. And in this, he's like, they're kind of being Superman and Batman are kind of being demeaning to the Flash, kind of implying because you're a woman you can't do this stuff. And Guy, Green Lantern, kind of starts the woman's lib thing, the feminist thing. Well, we're just as capable, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, as she's saying it, she's realizing, why am I saying this? Because, I'm a guy. Because Guy Gardner is a guy, and he thinks he's a guy. He's just in a lady's body. But he makes the comment in here, he's like, blah, blah, and he says all this stuff that's very, pro-feminist. And he's like, it must be the hormones talking. And, of course, hormones don't generate your opinion, not in that way. So it's kind of a dumb line. But other than that, I really find the whole Guy Gardner in a lady's body amusing thing. We'll see where they take it. They may take it off into territory that I don't think is as funny. But yeah, I love it. I love the Starros. The whole thing with the Starros cracks me up all the time. Anyway, like the art. It's not a real serious book, but it's just fun. And good to see Supergirl someplace because she's not anyplace else.
And a strong, smart Supergirl too.
Right, she's smart. She's there, and within a matter of, less than 15 minutes, she's totally rectified this giant chaos of, they're fighting 1 billion people.
Yeah.
Justice League, because literally the entire planet is taken over by Starros. The planet is, 3 or 4 billion people, and they're all literally marching at once to take out the Justice League, unless they can find, the prime Starro, and she finds it just like that, and they negotiate a truce basically. So, yeah. So I think it's interesting that there is no Supergirl book right now. She might
no coming on.
Right. She might she might be in the Justice League Unlimited book at some point in the future because that roster is going to turn over a lot as the stories go forward with it. But yeah, she doesn't have her own book, and of course the TV show is coming, very soon. So, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if that gets rectified in some way.
Do you think they would do the Supergirl like we've seen? I just mean that it'd be independent because they keep making these Arrow comics and Flash, the TV show comic. I'm worried that we'll see a possible Supergirl, the TV show comic, but not Supergirl.
we might see both.
Okay.
It just kind of depends. I see the Supergirl TV show comic being like a digital first kind of a thing, because that's how the Arrow comic always was. Kind of being a litmus test as to, what can we, get them interested in the TV show. Then they start seeing some of the digital stuff. Then they go, there's these things called comic books. Maybe I want to walk into a comic book store. I walk into a comic book store. What else is on the shelf? And that's where the comic book Supergirl would come in at, I would hope.
All right.
What we get for a comic book Supergirl, I'm betting, is going to move closer back to our older Supergirl. I think the costume with the high hip cut and the really super long boots that she's been wearing, I bet we see that costume disappear. As much as I know there are lots of people who don't like this costume because the idea of this young girl flying around with a skirt, who's all looking up her skirt kind of a thing, tends to be an issue for some people. I still think this is a much classier look than her costume from the New 52. Granted, she's not wearing a skirt, but she's wearing such a high-cut swimsuit that would show more than what this does as far as the bottom half of her body. So, I think it'll be a mix somewhere in between would be my guess. Just my gut feeling on that. I mean, I don't know, but.
All right.
And that's it for my DC books. You got any others, Luke?
No, I'm out.
What do we got for DC news?
I heard this more Batman v Superman talk. I heard that Zack Snyder's son is going to play Jason Todd. Briefly, it's going to be a brief cameo. Kind of goes into that one shot in the trailer we saw where it has like the Robin suit, Batman, final jokes on you, blah, blah, blah. I guess it's kind of show how Robin died, I heard. Jason. Yeah, and which I thought that was okay. I'm just hoping. I mean, granted, it's his son. I mean, if I was a dad, I'd try to do the same thing. I'm just hoping that. I never heard of maybe his son has done something before.
Well, I think it'll be inconsequential because they can't show much of Robin, I would guess, other than him getting whacked.
No, I'm just saying.
Is that going to set up this kind of older, bitter Batman because Robin's dead? Because
that's what I think. I think this is going to tie into the
Robin having been done in with the crowbar.
Yeah, but I hope it's not. It's just, if you're going to do it, I say do it. I just don't want it as Daddy Dearest is the director, and I'm going to get a cameo spot. I heard it's going to be just real quick.
Yeah, I can't imagine it being that. And I would hate for them to do a whole movie on Death of the Family, or Death in the Family. I mean, them to do a whole movie on focusing of Robin being beaten to death. I mean, it would probably be good, but you already have enough people complaining that the DC movies are too dark. That would be so because there's no way that wouldn't just be. That was some pretty serious dark times in Batman's life. I can't imagine.
I literally heard it's only just going to be a couple minutes.
Sure.
In Batman. It's just, like I said, I don't know.
Yeah. I guess I'm not going to worry about until I see it. I guess as far as that goes.
It'll be right after the 20-minute death of the parents that they always have to add into every movie.
Sure.
That's in there. We all know that's in there. If you didn't know, surprise, surprise, Bruce's parents get shot. If you didn't, it's crazy.
Depends. I know everybody complains about that, but depends on how they're using it. If they're not really spending the time, going, it's an origin story, right? Okay, so how often do we see references back and flashbacks in Batman books, Batman, Detective, whatever else is out there, that he does not go back to that moment in his life?
Oh, a lot. That happens a lot.
So what's wrong with that? People are complaining about it in the movie. If they're not using it as an origin story, it is a pinnacle moment in the man's life. Why would it not come up anytime dark things come about with him? Why would that not play on his mind?
Maybe
so why not show it?
Maybe it's just too soon from we had it in Batman Begins.
Well, I guess I feel compared to every
which was how long ago? How long ago was Batman Begins?
Let me go back. I'd say 10 years.
10 years.
I guess I feel since I'm one of the complainers. Yeah. Since I'm one of the complainers. Yeah. I think the thing is I don't think we see that as often like Superman. I don't think he keeps going back to the death of Krypton.
Because that wasn't a traumatic point in his life. He can't remember it.
All right. Yeah.
He was a baby.
Yeah, I'll concede.
His most traumatic thing is, oh, I lived on a farm where everything was great and I had parents who loved me, and I ended up with superpowers.
All right.
But do you feel that's
why Superman, and that's why Superman's the way he is. Instead, Superman flashes back to the fond moments in his life with Ma and Pop.
All right.
And in Batman's case, in Bruce's case, as a young child, his parents are executed in front of him. I have a feeling that if I had people executed in front of me, that would stick with me forever.
It
My
would.
parents or otherwise.
I mean, I'm not downplaying that, but I'm just saying it's just, why is it that every time we get a new guy playing Batman, it's like the first thing that happens, we have to go revisit that? I mean, Michael Keaton, there we go. I can't remember if Val Kilmer and they did that.
But you're not complaining about it in your comic books.
No. I might sound hypocritical here. In the comic book, they do it. And it's like it's impactful. It feels like it has meaning as part of the story.
So you're making a judgment on the what's coming in the movie that you haven't seen yet, to complain about the fact that they might be showing something that has to do with his parents being killed.
I'm psychic. I can tell what's going on.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll both be going to watch it on opening night. We'll make sure and have a discussion after that weekend about it to see how it was used in the movie. Because I am betting that it is not going to be used as an origin story of this is how come Batman is Batman. It's not going to be used in the same way. I have a feeling it's going to be used in the sense of a long line of this is all the bad shit that happens, and we can't let Superman be because Superman's going to be the next thing in the long line of bad shit that happens. I don't think we're going to be, because there's not enough time in the movie to have it be part of an origin story. Other than it's going to be one more bad thing that he is going to flash back to his parents being killed, flash back to the Robin thing. I think it's going to be part of that. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, yes, if they're going to spend an entire movie spending the first quarter of the movie talking about his parents being killed and all that, yes, we don't need to see that again. But it's used all the time in the comic book. So why can't they use it in the movie? Okay.
How do we go from Jason Todd to that?
Because you guys brought it up.
Luke, you weren't here last week. Batman being a god.
Yes.
I think I twittered you a little bit about this.
Yeah.
The knowledge of who Joker is.
Mm-hmm.
You said you don't say it out loud, right?
Yeah. But here's the thing. The way they did that, though, that could be easily reversed.
And we're talking Justice League 42, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
He's going to lose that power. So, I mean, all that, it's... But when you talk about who you recommended it, you say, what if it was him?
Yeah.
Oh, God, you would see me jump through the wall right now. Go, get the hell out of here. I would literally have a conniption fit right in my house. But yeah, it's interesting. That could be so easily reversed. It's just...
All right.
I'm gonna look over the comments here real quick. So you guys are right. Wonka Ninja is saying there's a crossover between Robin, Gotham Academy, and We Are Robins. I do remember seeing that there was going to be a crossover between those things. That's right. I'm being informed by Christina that I need to take it back that Aquaman is amazing. So clearly that must mean Cyborg is amazing too. So let's see what else we got here.
If I have to see Aquaman's dad die one more time on screen, I am not seeing any more Aquaman.
No kidding. Me neither. They use that.
Yeah.
There's a dead horse in my kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah. Kingpin KR 316 said he surprisingly liked Cyborg #1. I know a lot of people did. So Let's see what else I got here. I didn't hate it. Just let's see. Kayla's saying I think it'll be interesting if DC put out a Supergirl Earth 1 story. Even though I wasn't a big fan of the Superman Earth 1, I think it'd be fun to see a new Supergirl origin story. Which I think that would be smart.
Oh yeah, those Earth 1 stories are really cool.
Chomping at the bit for that Grant Morrison and Annette
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Yeah, I keep seeing panels from it. It looks gorgeous. So, and I kind of want to, frighteningly want to see what Grant Morrison would do with Wonder Woman. I'm a bit nervous, but
as somebody who doesn't know the DC universes very well, how does 1, 2, and how does that? What's the differences?
Do you want to take this one, Travis?
Oh, go ahead.
No, Earth 1, Earth 1, I think, from Batman's perspective, it's really not that drastic. Right. It's the minor stuff. Whereas you go into like Earth 43, that's when you get into crazy stuff. Earth 1 is just a little different. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's basically, I mean, at one point, I think the title meant something different than what it maybe means now. It's basically, we're going to tell a story about these characters. Generally, the first one tends to be kind of, who they are, why they are, origin-ish kind of a thing, whatever. And it's not supposed to be taken in continuity with whatever else is going on in the books. It's not going to set some sort of canon. It's not going to. It's just another take on what's there. Not so much an Elseworld, but Earth 1 is what they've started calling this line of books. Now I don't know what that means now. I think at one point it meant something a little different, saying it was Earth 1. Back in my youth, there was Earth 1, Earth 2. There were a lot of other Earths, but nobody ever talked about those Earths. Occasionally they come up with somebody wanted to write a cockamamie story. You'd have somebody come from some other place. You had Earth 1, or it was Earth A and Earth B. You could say it either way. Earth 1 had all the modern heroes on it, all your contemporary heroes. Earth 2 or Earth B had all your kind of Silver Age. Superman there had gray sideburns. So did Wonder Woman. So did Batman. I mean, everybody was older. You had the legacy characters were in Justice Society. All that stuff was on B, versus Justice League on Earth A or Earth 1. But as time has gone on, that's all kind of changed because, of course, DC keeps changing their multiverse. So Earth 1 was kind of when they had 52, Earth 1 was kind of an elsewhere, kind of a cleaner, it's in its own thing, telling its own story. And I think that's still really what it means now, the line means. Even though now, since the multiversity, of course, we have 52 universes that this could land in. And I think Earth 1 still exists as that.
Okay. Because I remember Earth 2, I mean, I've heard you guys talk about all the Earth 2 stories, and everything that we read modern 52 is Earth 0. Am I right on that one?
Yeah, Earth 0 is, or Prime.
Okay.
Well,
Prime.
It used to be Prime. Back in the day, Earth Prime had nobody on it with superpowers, and then at one point, Superboy was the only person on the entire planet with powers, was Superboy. Earthboy Super Prime is a royal bastard, and he screws up a lot of shit throughout the DC universe over the years. But back in the day when I was a kid, Earth Prime was where me and you are sitting at reading comic books, and then all of a sudden one day Superboy comes about.
All right.
Best way you can kind of explain it, like a modern story, like you got the Earth 1 Volume 2 with Batman. Like he's going up against Two-Face. I mean, Two-Face Harvey Dent is still Two-Face Harvey Dent. However, slight tweak to how he became Two-Face, and his sister, little different tweaks. She's the district attorney.
Right.
It's minor tweaks, but yeah, you're right, Trav. What you said was.
Yeah.
I was wondering. I think I picked up a trade of Earth 1 Superman, and I didn't realize the difference.
Yeah. Because I mean, I think that they really are kind of an elsewhere story. But calling it an elsewhere story makes it sound like it's going to be extravagantly, radically different, and that's not really the case. They just, like I said, like Luke was saying, they just kind of massaged some stuff in different directions than what most of us know as being kind of, this is more like the canon of what things are. and whatever goes on there doesn't set anything in stone in what our current continuity we're writing is.
All right.
So.
Thanks, guys.
But you know how that stuff is. It leaks over. If it's something that's really cool and people really love it, it leaks over. The Killing Joke was an out-of-continuity story that clearly along the years has become part of the canon of a continuity of the Batman universe. So, yeah. Okay, enough DC. Let's move on to independent books. What do we want to talk about independent-wise?
I think all three of us got Wolf, right?
Yes, yeah.
Wolf, and I got the extra special issue.
Yeah.
Nice.
My extra special issue came with pages not stapled in, so, which is really fun when they don't number the pages. So
yeah,
you get to this page here where he's messing with the guy's mind on the school bus or on the bus, and this page, woo, magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't catch the fold basically, so I'll be hunting down a not messed up page. Anyway, what do we think of this book? It is $4.99. I did not count how many pages were in it.
About 60 is what I counted.
But it's a lot of pages for your $5.
Yeah, basically almost 2 comics, I'd say. Also, I mean, heavy cardstock, excellent paper inside. So, this Ailes Cott, do we know other stories that he's done, or
Alex?
Yeah, Alex. Oh, is it Alex?
It's Ailes. It's Ailes Cott, right? Yes, he's writing material, which I'm reading right now, which is a total head trip as far as being really wordy and really
political.
Right, political. Yes, he's also written Change, which, if you go way back into some of my videos, you'll hear me talk about Change being this the most messed up. I don't know how you follow it comic on the planet. I know he's written like Secret Avengers. He's written Zero. So.
All right. Yeah, I mean, first off, the first reading I did, I've done it twice because it made clear sense, but then it didn't because I didn't know how it was all going to tie in together and form a full thought. So I think that was the thing is I followed along pretty well, and the characters all seem to touch in and out of each other's lives. So I mean, it's already connecting very well, but I mean, there's also all these different tangents it can go on. So that's where I was trying to figure it out. But once again, I always think that's my issue is I want to know what the book's about, and then I want to project what I want out of it, and so I try to put that away, and I'm just enjoying it. Because, Matt Taylor's art, I think, was very nice. There's some points where, and noses must be the most difficult thing. I think we talk about that all the time. There's sometimes a certain facial distortion on trying to do a nose. And that may also be part of, Lee's coloring, Lee Ruffridge. But I mean, it's a fantastic story that has superhuman-like people in it that is accepted by the society, but yet is still somewhat shunned, it seems, from other people. The interaction the police have with them, even the bad gangster people in here, it's kind of like you're not human. So it did seem interesting on how they're shaping this universe.
Yeah.
I mean, I really enjoyed, like I said, the Wolf's part, the intro, the beginning part. I love, not really, that's going to sound really morbid for me saying it. I found really entertaining what happened to the girl with, I'm assuming, her parents. That kind of gets like a detective mystery type of thing to it, and how that can kind of intertwine and, kind of like do the whole, ghost, or, I'm sorry, not ghost. What's the little boy, I see dead people.
The Sixth Sense?
Sixth Sense, yeah, that's it. For just for me, when we got to this, by the way, I saw that and I thought Futurama, the character from Futurama. It just felt me. It's not that it's not interesting. It just felt like it just kind of felt like out of place a little bit.
It was too far out there.
Yeah.
Jumped the shark in comparison to everything else being kind of up until that point, it felt like it was a little more grounded in what would be passing as reality, and then suddenly we get somebody who's way outside of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Being a Cthulhu-faced.
Yeah.
All I gotta say, look at that picture. That is screaming cosplay to me. All I have to do is kind of dye my beard kind of a green color,
Nice.
my mustache down, and I am all over that.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh.
The first 3 pages, I love that the art in that too. Just
Where
him
he's on fire. Where he's on fire.
Yeah.
In a straitjacket. Yeah.
Mm.
So, for anybody who does not know about this book, the basic premise is written on the back of it. Antony Wolfe, a hard-boiled paranormal detective with a death wish, has to cope with the sudden responsibility for an orphaned teenage girl who might be the key to the impending apocalypse, California style. Also featured a bag full of cash, a serial killer on the loose, and many secrets. Of course, most of that, what's told in here, does not happen in this issue, and it's like the very, very, very end of it, do we get the whole, he's responsible for an orphan. We don't even know that he's responsible by the end of this first issue.
Which leads me to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Me personally, I absolutely love this story. This is the kind of thing I love anyway, the whole paranormal detective, whatever, might have witchcraft, might have some sort of superpower. I'm all over this anyway. It's my kind of a story right off the bat. So it gets a win from me on premise before I even start reading the book. Read it. I really like the way it's written. I especially love the part with where he comes out of the police department because he's been questioned because the police found him. The police found him floating in a Hollywood star swimming pool because at the very beginning of it, he is on fire in a straitjacket, walking down Hollywood Boulevard, walking down Mulholland Road, because somebody is testing whether or not he's immortal by putting him in a straitjacket and lighting him on fire.
We didn't believe you. He
decided he wants to put himself out, so he throws himself in a swimming pool, and that's where he gets arrested, is because he's floating in some star swimming pool. So he leaves the police station after being questioned, even though they really can't do anything to him. Runs into a street person, and he's trying to bum a cigarette off the street person, but the street person seems to either be able to read his mind, but they point out that they don't have to read their mind. The only time anybody talks to them is to yell at them or try and bum a cigarette off of them. But she's talking about these birds singing and stuff, and you should listen to the birds and all that. And it's like, okay, it's just some lady, saying some psychobabble, right? It doesn't really mean anything. Then we get a page where he's on the, I'm assuming it's the bus. It's either the bus or a train, but I'm assuming it's a bus. And there's a television on the bus playing, and on the television itself, it says that this is the murder of the fashion designer Ramona Nightingale, which is a bird, Lady of the Flower, linked to a possible satanic, and then it drifts off because you can't read the rest of that. And then the reporter's talking about it. All of that, what that reporter says, ties into the lady's crazy psychobabble from earlier when he's walking down the street trying to bum the cigarette. I love that they, it's subtle little thing. What about birds? Oh, and then the people who are dead's last name are Nightingale. To me, that's just kind of smart little stuff that I just really liked about it. I actually like the whole tentacle-faced Mr. Cthulhu guy. The vampires that are geeks, they're 300 years old, but they're sitting around playing video games. They're like, dude, what kind of crazy guy would come into our house and threaten us when we're blood-sucking vampires, man? And of course, he's somebody. We find out in exchange that he is somebody. He goes, well, I'm Anthony Wolfe. Like, well, whatever. He goes, well, some people know me as Wolfe, but as soon as they hear his name is Wolfe, they're like, whoa, shit, man, I'm sorry. We didn't mean to. Oh, so clearly he's a heavy hitter in LA of some sort.
You call
right. Right. Yeah. Basically. Yeah. That same sort of a thing. I like that. I like the whole Cthulhu face that he comes to him because they're charging him more for his rent and he's got to get it fixed and stuff. And then the kind of more serious aspect, this young girl who clearly has seen either murdered or has seen her parents murdered. She's hearing voices. Of course, the voices she's hearing clearly seem to be dead people because she can see all the people that are haunting. Our main character is clearly haunted by. He's a like Afghanistan or Iraq war veteran.
Yeah.
He's haunted by his military buddies who clearly didn't make it back. She can see those people. She shows up on his doorstep, and she can see those. We briefly get to see those dead guys at the end of the book. I loved it. I love. Luridge's coloring, I think, sets a mood throughout the entire book when it changes colors to the different stuffs, the hots and the colds. I think all works really well. I'm excited for it.
It was good. We were talking before we went on. I just got to read it again.
Yeah.
The one question I had is, did anyone catch it when he's talking to, I guess, the gang lord, whoever, the person,
the Nazi, the white supremacist?
Yeah, him. He mentions of how he killed. Spoilers, whatever. He killed that girl. Who was that girl? Was that someone that I'm missing, or? He's like, yeah, I killed that girl, and you're like, huh?
He killed that girl, or he wants you to kill that girl?
I thought he said, I killed that girl.
Yeah, I killed her, is what he says, right. and then the wolf sees her, I think.
Yeah.
Or he sees her the whole time, and finally the guy admits to it, because he's clairvoyant.
Yeah. I just didn't know. I missed it.
No, you're right. And there's a couple places that it feels like there's an abrupt change and I can't figure out, because of course I have this erroneous floating page, right? So it really threw me off. I wasn't sure if this page belonged there or what was going on, because you've got the bus thing where there's a guy in there that's using hypnosis to rob people.
Yeah.
And he starts down this whole, sends him down his own hypnotic loop, and you think, ooh, we're going to get to see him screw with this guy. Well, then we don't. But suddenly he's off the bus and walking down the street. And, of course, because my page is loose, I'm suddenly seeing more building and stuff. And then, of course, my page goes into something that's not supposed to be there. So I wasn't sure if I had missed something. There's also a continuity flaw in it. And at one point, he isn't wearing a jacket, and then suddenly he's wearing a jacket, and then he's not wearing a jacket again. And I think they just kind of messed.
All right.
I just think they kind of messed up. And like I said, the only reason I was looking at it as hard as I was is because after I got my loose page, then I was concerned, are my pages out of order? Did the whole thing get stapled wrong? And so I kept kind of going. But there's another place in here that he's not wearing. He's talking to the white supremacist dude, and he's in a T-shirt.
Right.
Then suddenly he's wearing a jacket. Then he's not wearing a jacket. He walks out. He walks out, leaving a jacket at the end, and he never had a jacket. They thumped him in the back of the head, threw him in the back of the car. He had a T-shirt the whole time, and now suddenly he's leaving the place with a jacket and a briefcase. So,
very good eye there.
Well, and then when he's at home, he doesn't have it on again.
Yeah, so, I presume the briefcase is supposed to be the money for the payment, because he mentions about helping his family. Right. I also thought it was interesting, we'll come back to that.
Yeah. They start to tell us a story about how he's going to deal with something, and then we'll come back to that.
Don't worry, we'll come back to that, yeah. And then all of a sudden, chapter 2 later that night. So,
right.
With Ailes caught his writing, the thug who can't say the R's.
Yeah, thug.
The Russian guy. I assume he's German or whatever, so he can't,
So I thought that was hilarious, because then he's like, well, say this, 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 and this,
right.
All the R's.
Right, he has a whole big tongue twister, it's all the R's in it. Oh, the other thing I loved is the octopus, the tentacle face guy, that he starts out Freddy, all of everything he says, everything Freddy says, it starts out and it's an alliteration where every word starts with the same letter, like Larry's laptop, he'll. I just think that's kind of funny. So clearly it has something to do with him being whatever kind of demonic thing he is, whatever Chthonian, whatever. I don't know. I think that's fun.
Well, and even the way he writes the vampires, I am going to really enjoy some things, because I think I'll have to look to see if the Secret Avengers I picked up is his stuff or not. Because, I just love his use of language in this. Because everybody has a voice. And I think that's what we see missing in a lot of group books.
Yeah. I know there's a certain amount of criticism being thrown kind of in his direction of the fact that, of course, he's writing an African-American character. He is not African-American. They've thrown in some race stuff in there. So, whatever. If you're interested in that sort of controversy about the book, I don't care to continue to talk about it. Plenty on the internet you can peruse to see what your own opinion is of Mr. Cott and whatever his rights on being able to do that or not do it or whatever. I think it was handled well. So
yeah. The last thing I was going to say is when you talked about your issue with the page had slipped out that wasn't stapled in. I was really hoping though that it would have been the about there is a theory of Mobius with the twist of the fabric of space and time, and that you would just get page after page of that.
That would have been awesome.
Because you would have been like, I don't get this book at all.
I'm stuck in the loop with it. I would have laughed my ass off. I mean, that would have. Of course, I don't know if I would have 30 pages of that, but it would still be pretty funny. Yeah. That would be a keeper. If it was a misprint like that, that would be a keeper. Yeah. I like that part anyway, so yeah, cool. Anything else we want to say about Wolf? It's definitely on my poll. I'm happy I put it on there. Excited to see what's next. And I mean, granted, I know some people are gonna go, "Oh my gosh, $5 the first book," but it's a lot of book.
Yeah, that is thick. It's thick.
A lot of book for that $5. So.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I think it's around 60-some pages.
Yeah.
With only one ad in it.
I didn't catch the ad.
And you probably wouldn't. It's when he's driving down the street, and there is a gold broker, and it's drawn in there. I googled the number. That's actually the gold. Yeah, it's a real gold. So I wonder if they didn't pay him a little something to have that phone number and all that in there.
That's awesome.
Because I'm trying to find it again real quick too.
Yeah, it's early on when he gets on the bus, right?
I believe so. Yeah, they're just driving by the downtown area because it just looks like every other.
Or is that after they pick up the kid? No, it must be after they pick up the kid, right?
Yeah.
They pick up the girl and they're driving along. Yeah, there it is. Sunset Cleaners, and then next to it is Sunset Gold in Exchange. And I won't give out the phone number, but there it is.
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
You Google it, and that's what it is. And so that just caught me off guard because there's no ads in there. To have something like that just slipped in.
Nice.
Yep. Because I would wonder. I've seen other times where other shows or somebody, they have more and more these slipped in. Yeah, that if you. Right. Yeah. Well, or even, was it the Constantine TV show? If you called the phone number on his card, it linked to a voicemail of Constantine. So I wondered about that, so that's why I Googled it real quick. And nice. It's real business. So.
That's funny. That's funny. Cool. All right. What else do we want to talk about?
Cal, the death of a comic.
Yes.
I have never experienced it. With the big two, I'm used to. All of a sudden, it just stops. It disappears. You never hear why the comic, especially before your show and all this internet information that I get. I just didn't know, and I'd get mad and I'd throw the comic around. Knowing that these guys had to end, it was interesting to see how this ends, that it does seem to wrap up very quickly, sometimes very abruptly on some things that you could tell was going to be a lot longer. And then you get to a page where they started doing work, and evidently the colorist was the first one gone, because then there's just you get this, where I don't think it's meant to stand out, but they drew the blood and then didn't color in any of the other parts.
Well, it's Rod Reyes. He does all the art on it. He does colors, the whole thing. It's all him. So it's
it's all right. That's what it was.
Right. So that panel didn't bother me so much because that's a crime scene, so I can get maybe why it looks like a sketch, right? Yeah. But there's points where
where they're talking in here. Yeah.
Yeah, they're in this room. They're here it is, full art. And then we're not gonna finish the crowd. You know, or this guy. I mean, I can see making him stand, but he didn't look like that before. We've seen this character before. He didn't look like a sketch before. I mean, his shirt and tie are colored in normally, and then we just didn't get around to color in that aspect. You know, we left that flat. There are other places where if you look closely, things aren't complete. It's like part of the background's complete and part of it's not.
Oh, all right.
So, yeah, I can't find any more right offhand, but there were places like where the cigarettes were one-dimensional instead of three-dimensional because they just never finished coloring them out to make them. I don't know. Is it meant to be that way, or was like, you know, I'm tired of working on a comic book I know is done and you know, whatever. And
otherwise, it was great. I mean, it still was solid art all the way to the end, and the story still was good. I mean, like they mentioned in the end, they could always pick this up and continue if they wanted to, but this is most likely the end of the comic. So
for me, it ended okay. Everything about it felt like it was cinched up really fast. You know, there was some storylines that I'm sure would have not ended the way that they ended. Maybe they knew the book was done, so they, you know, the investigation into that. You know, the lady just kind of shrugs her shoulder and goes, "Well, we're done. You know, we got put. You know, they said no, and so we can't do anything." You know, that story wouldn't have gone that way if they had been allowed to go on. You know, I really enjoyed this book. I'm guaranteed I'm going to try the new book that they're going to be doing. They're going to be doing a 1980s sci-fi book. I'll be picking that up just because I enjoy the artwork. I enjoy the look of it. So them doing a space book, I think will be pretty exciting because I like the style of art.
Adrian's Wall, is that correct?
Yes, and I think the art's gonna be great. Like I said, the writing is interesting, so I'll be for sure picking it up just by dint of the strength of enjoying this. I think it's a bummer this book is gone because, of course, it was a different take on superheroes with the whole union aspect of it. I would have loved to have seen a lot more story about that. You know, what does it mean to be a union superhero versus Superman, that sort of thing. Would have liked to have seen a lot more of that. Unfortunately, also, because this is a superhero comic that isn't, straddled by corporate concerns, because it's not owned by, Time Warner or Disney. So it's a shame, and for me in that aspect, because I haven't heard of any other superhero comics coming out independently. And so I was enjoying a superhero book that wasn't, like I said, hamstrung by they can only do certain things because it's a corporate comic. So.
And the fact that it was our second one, I mean, that Secret Identities ended, and this one was kind of...
Yeah, well, we got one more issue of Secret Identity, and then, it's done.
Yeah.
So that pretty much kiboshes all of the independent superhero books I was reading, I think.
Yeah. Do you think this will have a second trade come out?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they'll put a second trade to cover the rest of these. I don't think it's sold that poorly that there won't be a second one. But I would bet we're not going to see. We won't ever. Well, I won't say ever. I won't see ever. Maybe 15 years from now, somebody will be digging through the vault and go, "Hey, can we use this old image, whatever?" But like they've done with some of Rob Liefeld's stuff that he did.
Yeah.
When Image first started, so.
All right.
Yeah. What do you got, Luke? You got any independent books?
Nah, that was my only one. I got shorted Sons of the Devil, so.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, it's alright.
Got any others, Mike?
Yeah, Insufferable. This is I would say, Batman and Robin knockoff. The father, who is very Batman-like, has little devices to solve, is a very detective-like guy. His son reveals who they are, so then he has to change his identity, and the son becomes his media darling. I mean, he does the Twitter and all that, and so that part's in the book. It's something, like I've mentioned, being a fogey I didn't care for, but and it just seems at this point they're trying to solve the murder of the mother, and the son thinks the dad may have done it, but the problem is I don't feel the son is so mad if this is a revelation that's being given to him, that he's just being pissy and snotty all the time, and that's why I feel like it's a bad ripoff of the Batman and Damian story, as opposed to and I guess that's the problem. I read it, it's okay, but it doesn't feel fresh. It doesn't make me excited. I'm getting sick of this little pissy Galahad kid, and they're just starting to try and bring all these other villains in to make it exciting. I don't know. It just, for me, it's not there. It's not reaching whatever it needs to make me continue. So this is issue 3. It's Mark Waid and Kraus. Mark Waid and writer, storyteller, and artist is how they're both on this, with colorist Nolan Woodard. Yeah, I'm just, unfortunately right now it's not enough to keep me going. I don't know that I'll grab 4.
And that's an IDW book, right?
Correct, yes.
Let's see. I'll talk about this. Five Ghosts finally came out. This is issue 17, ends the story arc. So now that it's finally out, now we're going to get an actual official break. But this is one of those books that we were talking about earlier. I love it for the art. The art is what generates the book. It's what makes it exciting. There is very little dialogue in this book. There's rarely is there a text block in here that kind of gives you an information dump or is telling you a narration of what's going on. It just happens. It's all action. It's all exciting. They fight a monster in this one. In this one, this issue ended the arc. And I didn't think this was that strong as far as the story itself and stuff. But I still really enjoy it. I'm excited to see what the next arc is. I'm not sure if I understand in the letters column at the end of this. It implies, well, I don't know if it's supposed to imply it or not, but it basically says that we hope to jump back to the world of Five Ghosts soon and start our climactic 4th arc, where we see Fabian facing the dangerous Cabal. And I don't know if climactic 4th arc means it's done, or is that the arc that's going to finish off the Cabal. I'm not sure. I hadn't heard that this book was going to end, so I'm not sure how I'm supposed to take climactic. I'm going to go with ignorance and act like it's not the end of the book, if that might mean it is, because I still really love the book. It's very old school. It's very pulpish action. Monsters and men. It even numbers the pages. It's so old school. It has the page numbers on it. I don't know why I like that. So if I'm talking to somebody else about the art or whatever, I can go, oh yeah, that page 14 where they stab that monster in the neck. Oh, that's cool. But I really dig it. I really dig Mooneyham's artwork. And like I said, it's what makes the book just fun.
Who writes that?
It is Barbary.
Okay, yeah.
Frank Barbary, who does some Marvel stuff. He also writes Broken World, White Jackets, as far as some other independent work that he's done. He's going to be writing Lobo. Is it Lobo? Or he's going to be writing something very soon with Cullen Bunn. The two of them are going to be writing a DC book. It's either Lobo or it's the Green Lantern Army whatever story. One of those two. He's going to be writing one of those along with him also. So yeah. But like I said, to me it feels like, I don't know how much he's writing of this story, or he just kind of basically goes, hey, I want to make sure by the end of this issue we're at the end of whatever. You put whatever, you just draw whatever kind of cool pictures you want to, and I'll add some dialogue around it, But there isn't a lot of, like I said, there just isn't a lot of. It's mostly, I keep grabbing the same page, but it's it's mostly told. The storytelling is the art. It really, really is. As well as ones that the dialogue does not move the story forward at all. It really is the action that moves it forward. So cool stuff as always. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about that I read? Briefly talk about Effigy. This is a one-shot. Basically tells kind of like a backstory of the writer of the TV show that the main character used to be in when she was a kid. It's got a guest artist, Mike Norton, is doing the art on it. So it's Tim Seeley and Mike Norton, the two guys that do Revival, do this book. It's cool. It's cool just to kind of see this guy's slowly turns into what he turns into as far as a writer goes. He starts out in school as basically being like a lot of us, having read comic books, having a really active imagination. So you're writing these crazy, stories. And as a matter of fact, like when he's in, I want to say grade school, everybody's been tasked with writing a Thanksgiving feast story. His story is like if you took Conan and Buck Rogers and Vampirella and put them all in a story together, and it's Vampirella in space, serving up turkey dinner to the Martians. Is the story he turns in for his school paper in this is in 1961, which of course he gets good grades for it. And he drew a picture for extra credit, and it really does look like Vampirella. She's wearing like a chainmail bikini. I mean, it's all. And the teacher's like, and he gets extra credit for this great picture. I don't know if that's an appropriate thing to wear at a Thanksgiving dinner, but it sure is fun. It was fun. It's a fun story. But his evolution from that into maybe partaking a little too much of the happy stuff in the late 60s to where he's getting a little more into psycho-religious kind of stuff to him flat out writing some version of an L. Ron Hubbard sort of a thing to him getting attacked by this religious police that have been slowly starting to be shown in the Effigy book, and him hitting his head and actually seeing a vision of some heavenly gates, and him then writing some other epic thing. So curious to see where it goes. It's kind of just an interesting backstory, one shot kind of a thing. Effigy is kind of a really quiet but very cool book that I know there. I don't hear anybody. I don't know anybody reading it, but I do actually can name probably 5 or 6 people I know are reading it. It just feels like there should be more people reading it. But fun stuff. Hopefully, it does well in the trade category, because that's where most of the Vertigo books operate in, is the trade thing.
Now, is that the one with the young girl who's investigating murders from her old TV show?
Yes, she was a space cop in a TV show as a little girl. Now she's just a regular meter maid who then gets tied into investigating this stuff because the person who's been murdered has a tattoo of her show on the back of it. So they think, let's have her along because she might have some knowledge. And then things kind of spiral crazily out of control. Now they are no longer police. The last issue we had all those characters in, they were on the lam because they shot up half the police station because the police station was either genuinely bad guys or they were under some sort of mind control from some religious cult kind of crazy thing. And so they shot everybody up, but they can't really explain it. Oh, yeah, they were under mind control. Because, I mean, like, if I came up to you and said, oh, I killed my family yesterday because they were all under mind control, you would just lock me away as a crazy person, right?
Yeah.
So they're on the run, but they're on the run with this group of religious warriors. And they're from all secular. I mean, there's some people in it that are clearly Catholics because they're wearing the nun habits. There's clearly some Jewish people in there. There's clearly some Hindu. So they're from all different slices of religious, but they're military too. I mean, they're wearing symbols of their religion, but they're also wearing flak jackets. They're carrying fully automatic rifles. They're going in as hit squads and stuff like that. They're with them. because there's some greater craziness going on with the psyche of the world, and these people are battling it, and clearly have been battling it since the 80s, because this issue shows them show up somewhere in the 80s. You know, and that's where the main story has ended. So yeah, it's taken a really strange turn from what the book originally was, but I'm going with it because it's been fun.
Yeah.
Birthright, Red Birthright, continues to have gorgeous art in it. Story was pretty interesting. This fight with this spirit here, that's just basically the equivalent of a nuclear bomb as far as the spirit goes. It's on Earth. It's going to purge everything if they don't get rid of it. It rescues one of them and starts to kill another one of them, and it's kind of we're left on a cliffhanger of sorts. Not as super exciting as those first couple issues were, but I'm still really enjoying it. And the art by Brenson is just gorgeous. The detail, the line work of it, the action, the fluidity in it is just great. And he draws a really awesome mutant bear in it and stuff like that. So still really enjoying it. Frankenstein Underground, it ended. Ended kind of like a Mike Mignola story, which of course it is a Mike Mignola story. It gets down to the end, the big monster's coming to get him, the tentacles are coming up to get him. He, in a last grasping effort, smashes into this thing, and it releases this holy light that slags all the bad things. And he's left underground kind of wandering for many, many years afterwards. I mean, there's we see a version of him here towards the end of he's got super long hair, and he's still just somewhere underground. Frankenstein is underground somewhere, wandering around in 1950 something, and that's the last we see of him. I enjoyed it. Steinbeck art in it, Ben Steinbeck, beautiful art in it. You know, basically interesting story, nothing too complicated. Standard affair of the Mignola universe stuff, which I enjoy. So, you know, I thought it was good, but it wasn't like exceptionally different than the rest of the Magnolia universe stuff. But still like that. That's the end of that Frankenstein thing. So.
Now you say the Mignola universe. Would this ever cross over with the rest of the stuff, or it just is that style?
No, this Frankenstein walked around in Mexico at the same time that Hellboy was walking around in Mexico.
Okay.
I have read very little of any of that part because that's part of the stuff that I don't actually own, but that's why it says in this. When it says, you know, from the pages of Hellboy, it really does mean that this version of Frankenstein actually stomps around in the Hellboy universe. So, but currently he is of no use to anybody. Supposedly still alive, because like I said, he's somewhere a bajillion miles under the earth, wandering around somewhere, living a very peaceful life and smelling the flowers, and that's his reward for having done the great deed that he does towards the end of this. So, but yeah, that Frankenstein is in the Hellboy universe.
Right, because I was trying to remember, because Lobster Johnson is also loosely tied in with all that too.
Yeah, he is. He actually functioned before Hellboy actually is brought into existence. His spirit, the reason Lobster Johnson first comes about, they actually find his spirit. And then they go back and decide to start telling Lobster Johnson stories based on his ghost in the, at the time, current running story that was going on. Then they go, oh, hey, we have the spirit, let's go back and talk about it, you know, kind of a thing. So, yeah. The other thing I did finish was Infinite Loop. This is issue number 4 of 6. This is the subscriber variant cover. I'm not sure who actually did the art on the cover of this, but I thought it was kind of cool. I like her swirling that Infinity Loop around. This issue, I don't want to say not a lot happens, but not a lot happens. She is fighting against herself. There's like a million versions of her. Some of them are for what she's trying to do. Some of them are against it. She's threatening to basically rip all the timelines apart unless she has given her anomaly back, the love of her life back, basically. Through this process, she discovers that she actually named herself. She has messed with the timeline so much that she actually goes back in time and convinces her mom, influences her mom to name her the name that she has, because of, she actually influences herself to become herself, which really is screwy if you think about it, but at the same time, and it's wonderfully told. It's really interesting the way it's told. It's extremely confusing. Even though I was limited on time, I read it twice to make sure I had that I was getting what was going on in it. I really enjoy it. But yeah, this one's like lots of chaos. We find out there is this secret warehouse that everything that gets erased, all the anomalies get erased, are actually being stored someplace. And so she's going to go and get her anomaly back. Is what's going to happen supposedly in the next issue. She's going to get the love of her life back and whatnot. But it was really cool. I'm really enjoying it. This issue was way action, not so much love story type thing, but mostly just going to the ends of the earth, basically, or in this case, the end of time, to bring back her loved one. And in the process of doing that, she messes with everything and finds out that she basically created herself. I mean, short of basically making it a point of getting her mother impregnated. I mean, the books that she read, her being named Teddy, all of that stuff has to do with, there's reasons why she chose to do what she did. So, metaphorically, fighting against people who are telling you that you can't live your life the way you want to in it, because there is an underlying current story in this of loving who you want to love, even if that's somebody of the same sex as you, and that sort of thing. The writer and artists are very much pro love who you want to love kind of thing. So that's an aspect in the story, and that there is that metaphorical story being told there, that fight against the man and get what's yours. So. But I am enjoying it. Books that I didn't get to this week yet. I haven't read Burning Fields. This is issue 6 of 8. Actually, really excited to read this because whereas I wasn't enjoying it to start out with, it's now gotten all kinds of crazy pants, and so the kind of the visual faults with it that I struggle sometimes to figure out which characters are which is easier to look beyond, because the rest of the story and stuff is just nuts enough that it makes it exciting to read anyway. Run, Love, Kill with these covers that I don't like that everybody else thinks are great. Issue 4, I don't know. It's cool art with a story that doesn't feel like it's really gone much of anywhere. So I wasn't too excited to read this one, so I haven't read it yet. And Stray Bullets, which of course I don't hurry to read this to talk about on the show, because there's no way for me to really talk about the show other than to say it's really awesome, really depressing, and you get a chuckle out of how depressing it is and stuff. And I look forward to this issue because it looks like it's going to focus on Monster, who is this huge guy who really is a monster. And I like it. I like him because it's awful.
So how many story arcs has that done so far?
Of the new stuff, this is the second arc. It's really technically all one giant volume, even from the stuff that was produced in the 90s. The first one was the one that just came out before this was Stray Bullets. Killers, it went 8 issues, I think, and then there are, I think it's 8. It's either 6 or 8. And then there's the Sunshine and Roses is the next group of books. I hate to really call it an arc because it's not told in a linear fashion, and every issue doesn't always follow the same characters all the time. It's like you'll have an issue that talks about particular characters during a certain, October 30th, of 1981 in Baltimore, and the entire issue will be about that. The next issue we get may be, 1985, set someplace in Kansas. The next issue could be they're staying in line at the opening for the first showing of Star Wars. And then slowly over time, all these different stories the stories are encapsulated. You can read the single issue and it tells you a story. If you read the larger, it tells you a bigger story about each of these individuals. And the longer you read, the bigger and grander the stories get. And it just becomes that, to me, it's just that much cooler. The more of it you read, the more you get to see all the stuff these people have done and have gotten themselves into, and the really screwed up lives they're living. And it's just, it's cool. I think it's cool anyway. But
you said it was in the 90s too?
no, I don't think it ever gets. Well, this book was produced in the 90s.
Yeah, in the 90s.
Yeah.
Same creator.
Yes. Yeah, it's always been David Lapham. He does it all. It's a black and white book. He does everything. He draws it, writes it, letters it. The entire thing is him. His wife, under the Al Capone or Al Capitan label, produced the whole thing. They actually had their own. It was purely just them. They weren't part of Image back in the 90s. It won Eisner's, back then, if that means anything to you as far as awards types go. Now for about, I don't know, $30-some, you can get that massive, it's like this thick. It's like 1,100 pages, where it's the Stray Billets Uber compendium, and it'll give you the entire, all that stuff that was produced throughout the, throughout the 90s, which gets you up current to the group of books before this, Killers. If you were interested in going that far back into it. I didn't. I started out with Killers, which was the last arc that was out last year, and I got about 4 issues into that, and then I went and got the that massive deluxe trade because I just knew I was going to dig it. So,
does he pretty much stay on a regular schedule with him doing all that stuff? Or he does?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because there's no coloring, that takes a big step out of it, right? Yeah. So like any of the Image books, you'll do an arc and then you'll take a couple months break, and then boom, you'll be back with the next, whatever it is. And he writes them in chapters, so this is basically a chapter. All the Sunshine and Roses is one chapter. Then the next will be a chapter. The pages inside are actually numbered. See, this is the first page, and it's numbered 140.
Yeah.
So, because it just keeps going on telling the story. I mean, it's technically issue 1. I mean, it's page number 1 of issue 6, but it's part of this bigger story. So, but yeah, see, all kinds of wonderful violence as Beth smashes the guy over the head, kicks him in the balls, smashes him over the head with a painting. Yeah, the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I dig it. It's lots of sex, lots of violence, lots of drug use, lots of very early through mid 80s jargon in it. The whole fawning over Star Wars when Star Wars first came out, and just great stuff. If you like depressing, demented, screwed up, boy, I'm glad my life isn't anything like that. Kind of stuff. Anyway, that be it as far as the week's worth of comics. I don't know if there's any indie news. Is there anything? No?
Nothing I know of, no.
I will check the comments really quick. Wonky Ninja asked me if I'm reading Disciples. I am not reading Disciples. Not even sure who puts out Disciples. Is that that must be a Black Mask or Black Studio book, I think. I'm not reading that. Tom also says, and Wonky Ninja also says that more people should be reading Effigy, which I do agree. Ryan C. agrees that it's a hidden gem. Let's see. No, Christina, as you saw, I haven't read Stray Bullets yet. Asking if I had read that. But anyway, yeah, I haven't heard, much. I don't know. Anybody got an idea of what's coming out next week? Anything that's we're all chomping at the bit for as far as?
DC-wise, that's a couple annuals.
Yeah, Yeah, are a bunch of them coming out?
Yeah, I think Gotham by Midnight, Batgirl.
I remember when annuals used to come out once a year after issue 12.
And you get, I think Batgirl this month is literally Batgirl 42 and the annual next week. I think it's a double dip.
Yep. Batgirl 42, annual number 3. Copperhead comes out for people who are reading Copperhead. You're right, Gotham by Midnight annual. My next issue of Invisible Republic comes out. Lazarus number 18 comes out. Low. Sex Criminals, which we've been waiting a long time for. Southern Bastards is coming out. 602 Witch Hunter Angela's coming out.
I think Thor's for me is coming out.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah.
I think there's only 2 on my pull list, so I might be going to purchase something else. So.
I got lots, as usual, coming in.
Yeah.
Wicked and Divine Volume 2 comes out, I'm told, by Fred Bushy. I know this next week I get the next second trade of Alex and Ada. I really like the first one, so I'm looking forward to digging into the next issue of that. As far as things that are random stuff, I got this goodie today. This is Wally Wood stories. This is an artisan edition as opposed to an artist edition. So it's smaller than the big giant size like what Commandy artist edition was. It's a soft back, but it's the same premise. They aren't quite full size pages, but it is the actual page art photocopied. So it's got the handwritten notes along the sides. You can see the places where it was cut and paste. And this is all Wally Wood. This is mostly his EC stuff. So it's sci-fi stories and some horror stories. I'm a really big fan of Wally Wood. Wally Wood is famous for making the 22 comic book panels that never fail. And it's basically 22 different camera angles and shots that you can use for maximum impact on drawing comics. And lots and lots of comic creators use it, whether they know it or not. It's kind of become to some degree a standard. It's just visually it's what's more impactful than whether your eye notices it or not. If somebody draws a comic book, if people are dead on facing each other and it's at certain distances and whatnot, everything just seems flat and lifeless about it. And he has these 22 panels that if you're using those panels, you're successful in conveying the story that you want to tell and whatnot. So excited to go look through that. I really, as somebody who really gets into the art, I'm looking forward to digging into that and seeing what the side notes are. Wally Wood is quite the character and was a pretty masterful guy back in his day, before life took a turn for the worse for him. So looking forward to digging into that. I wish they'd produce more of those. Like the big giant size hardback ones are great. They're awesome to look at. Get that full size picture of them, but it's really hard to handle them.
Yeah.
What do you do with them? You can't put them on a bookshelf. I mean, I'm afraid to leave it this laying out someplace. Something's going to happen to it. I don't own a coffee table, nor would I leave it on that because I have teenagers that I guarantee you would sense some sweaty pop on top of it or something like that.
Like a coaster. It's expensive.
Right, extremely expensive coaster. So, not that this is cheap. I mean, this is $50 for this, but that's like a third of what the big hardbacks are. But this is small enough that I don't know if I showed the size, but I could probably find a bookshelf to stick it on.
This looks like a normal deluxe size.
Yeah, like I said, I love digging through art. So if they put out a lot more artists of this kind of a thing, I would probably buy a lot more of them to set on my shelves and be able to go through and dissect how these masterful people did these great stuff. You want to talk about wordy comics? Where John Constantine Hellblazer is a really wordy comic. People have been talking about these first 2 issues were pretty wordy. Check that out. Check that out. You want to talk about wordy? That does that not look like a novel with a little bit of pictures on it? But the pictures are super detailed, though. I mean, there are nutsy, you know. But yeah, so you think some of the comics are wordy? They don't hold a candle to these books. But that's oh. Whew. Yeah.
So who published that one then? I mean, it says EC. But who do you?
Oh, this is IDW. IDW are the ones that put out all these things.
All right.
You know, and I think I'm not 100% positive. This is the first one of these I have ever seen. I think this is the first one. I ordered it the same time I ordered my Commandy, and of course I got my Commandy a month or two ago. This one finally just actually came out. It missed its print date, or at least when it got sent to me, by quite a bit. But just look at those people's faces. Just like I said. Anyway, super excited to dig into that and check it out, how it was all done. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. Okay, anything else we want to talk about? Price of gasoline. Yeah. Okay.
I will say I was paying almost $3 a gallon in Pittsburgh, and down here in Virginia it's like $2.60. So
yeah,
people up north feel you.
Yeah, living it good down there, huh? Okay, well, I guess we're done. We're done talking books for the night. Thanks for joining me, guys, and thank you for the people who hung out with us live, and for those of you who come and watch the show after the fact. I always appreciate it. The show actually seems to get quite a few views on it, and we always appreciate that you guys come and check it out and comment and be part of the show in that way, if not being on the show. Always appreciated. I'm sure we'll be back next week. It might be on Friday again. We'll talk about that. I think I have stuff going on again this Saturday. Maybe. We'll see exactly how that works out or not. But later on in the week, if you want to know for sure what day this show is on, to plug myself further, watch my What the Fugue. My What the Fugue in the middle of the week. I'll usually tell you what day for sure it's going to be on. So, yeah. That being said, check out these guys' videos. They crank out some awesome videos on all kinds of stuff. So, share the love. Have a good night, everybody.